Chapter 470. Heavenly Devil Possession. Yen Lu, who had lost the crystal bottle and was now enveloped in the dark light of demon qi, looked at Lin Zhuyun with a grim face and shouted to warn the people around him. In the sea, the 10 disciples of the Juling school and the blood god let out bone-chilling screams as they burned with emerald-green flames. There were 3 clusters of dark shadows above the heads of the 10 people in the green flames, which were also ignited by the flames. They were the 3 souls of man, heaven, earth, and man. It turned out that the flames were not only burning their bodies, but also their souls. Demonic soul possession. The heavenly devil used the corpses of the Juling school as a carrier to get close to the crystal bottle and possess that girl. The frigid sex incantations and secret magics she practices can merge with the heavenly devil's frigid soulfire. She can release the emerald green flames with her flesh aura and spiritual power of the same attribute. Be careful, everyone! Qi Nandu, Ho Tianzhao, and the others all stepped aside and distanced themselves from Lin Zhuyun. Listening to their voices, Yen Lu immediately realized that these disciples of the tranquil continent were more familiar with the habits of heavenly devils and their exquisite soul magics than he was. The reason why he had shouted, "Heavenly devil possession," to warn everyone was that he had a similar experience. That experience had taken place in the forbidden land of the fallen moons. A moon devil from a branch of the heavenly devils had secretly possessed the bodies of trial takers and murdered many of them. Those who had been possessed by the moon devil were very similar to Lin Zhuyun in front of him. That was why he had been able to figure it out in an instant. He was afraid that everyone didn't know the situation. Only after everyone spoke did he realize that these disciples of the tranquil continent weren't from the various clans of the empire that he had fought side by side with in the forbidden land of the fallen moons. Lin Yu, Ho Tianzhao, Qi Nandu, and Qi Yin were all outstanding disciples of the major sects in the northern part of the tranquil continent. Obviously, they all knew the various evil magics of heavenly devils. Neither Qi Yin nor Lin Yu panicked because their fellow disciples had been ignited by the emerald-green flames. Accustomed to cruel battles, they only had themselves in their hearts. They didn't care about their fellow disciples at all. Qi Yin let out a cold harumph and formed a strange hand seal with both hands. The 9 colorful bottles hanging from his body suddenly flew out like cannonballs. 9 jars appeared above Lin Zhuyun's head at this moment, causing Lin Zhuyun's eerie, cold eyes to once again shine with a strange light. With a bang, the 9 bottles exploded at the same time. 9 streams of light that were full of filthy supernatural power and mixed with bits of sand instantly poured toward Lin Zhuyun. The 9 streams of light were like 9 rainbows falling from the sky. However, the aura they emitted was rotten, stinky, and rotten. "Foul poison rainbow!" Qi Nandu exclaimed in a low voice. He casually threw out the crystal bottle that had shrunk 1,000 times. The silver-white porcelain bottle was the same as the medicine bottle used to hold medicinal pills. Now it looked pocket-sized and exquisite. As the crystal bottle flew towards Lin Zhuyun, the mouth of the bottle kept swallowing seawater. When it got close to the bottle, the seawater that it had swallowed gushed out again. Like a waterfall, it shot straight at Lin Zhuyun. Lin Zhuyun, whose entire body was burning with green flames, opened her eerie green eyes wide. There was no human emotion on her face as she only looked at Qi Yin. One streak of emerald green flames after another rose from her body into the heavens. 9 Qi Yin's foul poison rainbow was instantly ignited. As soon as they were ignited by the emerald flames, the specks of filthy poison essence hidden within the flowing light exploded like beans being fried. The dazzling stream of light exploded into pieces. It was like a giant python that was cut into pieces. Qi Yin wailed. Blood flowed out of his mouth uncontrollably. At this moment, Lin Zhuyun raised her hand and punched at the waterfall gushing out of the crystal bottle. As the punch came, the seawater parted on its own, revealing a vacuum tunnel. Inside the tunnel, the green flames roared. It was as if the brutal thoughts of 10,000 souls had gathered together, trying to devour the thoughts of all living beings, dragging all living beings into a bottomless, cold abyss of eternal silence. Puff, 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 puff. The green flames broke through the waterfall-like seawater and poured into the open mouth of the crystal bottle. Inside the crystal bottle, clusters of dark green flames were burning. The crystal bottle in little Rua's hand was forced to expand with crisp, cracking sounds. As the crystal bottle expanded, the flames also expanded, burning more and more violently. On the other hand, Chi Nanda's chest sometimes swelled and sometimes shriveled. His chi and blood dantian seemed to feel the changes of the crystal bottle because of it. He was miserable. He gestured at Ho Tianzhao and Lin Yu and pointed at Lin Zhuyun, indicating that they should act and share the pressure for him. Lin Yu and Ho Tianzhao didn't expect the sudden change. They didn't expect that Lin Zhuyun, whose heart was dead, would suddenly transform into the carrier of the extraterrestrial demon and kill everyone. Seeing the violently burning Lin Zhuyun kill 10 disciples of the Blood God and the Juling School and heavily injure Qi Yin and Qi Nandu, they were also shocked. Ho Tianzhao laughed dryly and slowly approached Mo Yin. He raised his voice and asked, "Brother Mo, what should we do?" Mo Yin was older than everyone present. Because he cultivated the life transformation rotation demonic art, due to the repeated cycles, it caused time to flow backward, and he turned into the appearance of a young man. But the real Mo Yin was already over 60 years old. If he was compared to the mortals of the Qian continent, he would be called an old man. Ho Tianzhao calling him Brother Mo was already quite disrespectful. Calling him Uncle Mo was also not a problem. What should we do? Mo Yin sat on the Kiara demonic saber and looked at Yu Yuan, who was inside the turbid demon fetus and controlling the fiendish demon cauldron. He was angry. You should ask Yu Yuan. It's not that he didn't break the turbid demon fetus. It's not that the demon spirit didn't descend. He glanced at the sea and sighed. Now it's good. The spiritual altar was alarmed and arranged a demon spirit to enter the sea under the pretense of the corpses of the Juling School. It chose that girl to temporarily become a flesh and blood puppet. That girl's actions represent the consciousness of the spiritual altar. It means that the spiritual altar also knows that something is wrong under the sea, so it has its eyes on this place. Spiritual altar? Qi Nanda screamed. Mo Yin said with a gloomy face, I don't know what's going on at sea, but I know that if the spiritual altar solves the problem at sea and announces its descent into the sea, making the blood spirit altar truly complete, then all of us, including the Chaos Korn, can no longer change anything. At this moment, the blood spirit altar, strictly speaking, was actually divided into 3. The spiritual altar, the blood altar, and the turbid demon fetus at the base. When the 3 were separated, Mo Yin could use the Jialua demonic blade and control it with his Yin spirit to temporarily suppress the blood spirit altar, so it couldn't immediately break free. Yu Yuan, relying on the fiend demon body refining art, the fiend demon cauldron, and the chaos koan, prevented the turbid demon fetus from moving at will and easily changing its position, killing them one by one. As the main body, the spiritual altar that controlled the souls had always been on the sea and hadn't come down. The blood spirit altar was divided into 3, just like the 3 souls of the human race, heaven and earth. Each had their own wonders and duties. Once the 3 were united, the blood spirit altar would be truly complete and have the strongest power. At this moment, the demon spirit had descended and used Lin Zhuyun as a flesh and blood puppet to solve the crisis under the sea. It also indirectly told everyone that the spiritual altar, as the leader, had its eyes on them. Qi Nandu. Deep inside the turbid demon fetus, Yu Yuan, who had purified a large amount of filth, stood in the fiend demon cauldron and suddenly howled. Send in the bone-devouring shuttle. Because the crystal glass bottle had been invaded by the green flame, causing his chi and blood to riot in his dantian. Chi Nandu, who couldn't even protect himself, wanted to cry but had no tears. Looking at Yu Yuan, he also wanted to curse. What were you doing earlier? Just send in the bone-devouring shuttle. Yu Yuan shouted again. I only want the bone-devouring shuttle. I don't need the cooperation of your crystal glass bottle. Quick, send it to me as soon as possible. Give it to him. Mo Yin shouted. Lin Zhuyun, who was burning at the bottom of the sea, suddenly rushed towards Chi Nandu like a stream of fire. Stop her. By time for Chi Nandu. Mo Yin shouted again. The girl possessed by the heavenly demon, her realm is not enough. The chi, blood, and spirit energy in her body can't release her true power. Don't be afraid. Kill her, don't let her get close to Chi Nandu. Chapter 471. Kill her. Fei Yi let out demonic howls in the crowd. While Mo Yen was busy suppressing the blood altar, Fei Yi, a disciple of the Devil's Palace, led the crowd to surround and kill Lin Zhuyun, who was possessed by the heavenly demon. In the sea, the evil demon disciples who were far away from Lin Zhuyun used their demonic arts and artifact. Demonic rainbows, dark lightning, knives, forks, cauldrons, and spears bloomed with dazzling light and abundant demonic energy. They instantly drowned the burning Lin Zhuyun. Crackle, crackle. Crisp sounds came from the many demonic artifacts and evil weapons inside the green flames around Lin Zhuyun. Lin Zhuyun's charge did not stop. The demonic artifacts and evil weapons that approached her dimmed due to the burning of the green flames. Their spirituality was gone, and they were no longer as fierce and brilliant as before. Crackle, crackle. Streaks of green lightning shot out and landed on the evil demon disciples, burning them into flames. Cries and screams immediately came from their mouth. They could not be suppressed no matter how hard they tried. New charred corpses were created one after another after Lin Zhuyun, who was possessed by the heavenly demon, attacked. Chi Nanda's clothes tore open. A ball of flesh the size of a walnut bulged where his blood and chi dantian was. The refined blood and chi inside almost exploded. The burning crystal bottle had become a pain that cut into his skin. It seemed to be burning his dantian. While he was in so much pain that he wanted to die, he gathered a wisp of his mind and transmitted it to the bone-devouring shuttle. The bone-devouring shuttle shone with a white light and suddenly abandoned him. The bone-devouring shuttle, which was condensed with the blood and chi of death and wailing souls, avoided the flying Lin Zhuyun and the bone-chilling green flames and flew toward the turbid demon fetus. Bang! Suddenly, a corpse of the blood god that had been burned to charcoal by the green flames slammed into the bone-devouring shuttle as it flew away. The collision caused the bone-devouring shuttle to sway and scatter specks of dark green sparks onto the white bone shuttle. Bang, bang, bang! Even more corpses that had been burned to death by the flames flew out like lightning and crashed into the bone-devouring shuttle. With every collision, the corpses would explode into dust. The skeletons that had been burned to black charcoal by the green flames seemed to have exerted their last bit of heat and turned into powder. However, all of the green sparks hit the bone-devouring shuttle, making it extremely heavy and slow down as it shot towards the turbid devil fetus. All the people who were attacking Lin Zhuyun and were attracted by Lin Zhuyun were stunned at this moment. Enveloped in emerald green flames, Lin Zhuyun stood in the depths of the raging flames. Her eerie emerald eyes became even more devilish. Moreover, she actually stopped there. He did not continue to attack Chi Nandu, nor did he continue to release flames and kill people everywhere. She has spiritual intelligence, and she knows how to cheat. Shirsi, who was in the Devil's Palace, suddenly came to a realization. Pointing at Lin Zhuyun, who was still burning, she said, the people she killed with her flames were all in the same area. When the bone-devouring shuttle was heading towards the blue shadow, it chose to go from another area to avoid her. but no one would have thought that the burned corpses could affect the bone-devouring shuttle. Fei Yi's face was gloomy. The extraterrestrial devils are originally a highly intelligent race. They are not inferior to us at all. She seemed to be rushing towards Chi Nandu to force him to release the bone-devouring shuttle in a hurry. Then, she used the corpses that died from the flames to hit the bone-devouring shuttle. From the looks of it, she had a plan from the beginning when she killed people. Lin Yu and Ho Tianzhao also realized that something was wrong at this time. The bone-devouring shuttle, which Yu Yuan had asked for, had been bombarded by numerous corpses along the way. Emerald sparks had sputtered all over it. Even though it was very close to the turbid devil fetus, it couldn't advance any further. Yu Yuan, who was inside the turbid devil fetus, looked at the bone-devouring shuttle in front of him and also seemed very anxious. The bone-devouring shuttle, Yu Yuan, whose eyes were wide open, seemed to see a ghost shrouded in white mist being eroded by the emerald-green sparks and crying out in pain from the white bones. The soul of the shuttle was injured by the emerald-green flames and could not control the movement of the shuttle. Puff! In Chi Nanda's chest, the flesh ball condensed by the blood essence in his dantian suddenly exploded. Dozens of streams of blood essence exploded like brilliant fireworks. Chi Nanda's entire body seemed to fall apart. His body, which was originally floating in the sea, softly sank to the bottom of the sea. The essence of his blood essence dissipated just like that. The mystic gate of the middle dantian collapsed because of this. The trick to enter the blood essence could not be closed or closed. I'm at my wit's end. He sat on the bottom of the sea and moaned weakly. Whether it was facing Mo Yen or Yu Yuan, who was eagerly looking at the bone-devouring shuttle, he was in such a half-dead state. He truly didn't have the strength to help Mo Yen and Yu Yuan anymore. Forget it. I didn't expect to die in the Stardust Sea region. Mo Yen, who was sitting on the Kiara demonic saber, was covered in black demonic blood. It looked like a pitch-black cocoon that wrapped around him. I hope the demonic cocoon soul departing technique can help my Yin spirit escape. Feeling the violent movement of the blood altar, Mo Yen was pessimistic. He was prepared to use another secret technique of the Devil's Palace to find a chance for his Yin spirit to escape, because he knew that he was about to lose control of the blood altar. Now, dozens of miles away, following Lu Ying's delicate shout, the stars inside the meteorite eyes shone brightly. One star map after another suddenly lit up. It was as if there was a galaxy outside the sky. The sea of stars was pulled into the meteorite eyes and became the fuel for the moon meteorite. The silver-white meteorite eyes turned into a waning moon that seemed to slowly rise from the bottom of the sea. The bright moonlight reflected all kinds of magnificent colors from the shining sea. When the slowly rising waning moon reached a certain height, it suddenly dove down. The crescent moon seemed to have turned into a silver-white machete that slashed towards the edge of the sea that Yu Yuan had pointed out. The formless blue light curtain suddenly appeared and became thick in an instant. It gave people a feeling that nothing could shake it, that no sharp light could penetrate it, and that it was impregnable. Break! Lu Ying shouted at the front of the meteorite eyes. Behind her, the huge silver-white rocks exploded into stone fragments that filled the sky. Kong Banbai, Du Huang, Su Yen, and the others all looked forward. A silver-white dot of light exploded inside the blue light curtain with an earth-shattering boom. Tens of thousands of tiny sparks instantly merged into the dot of light. The silver-white dot of light seemed to be endowed with infinite sharpness as it pierced towards the translucent blue light curtain. Puff! A small hole that was as small as a grain of rice was gradually made on the light curtain. As soon as the small hole was made, it was as if the flame of hope had been ignited. The dim and sealed Stardust Sea region and the heaven and earth at the bottom of the sea became brighter and brighter under the bright moonlight of the meteorite eyes. The sealed world was thus broken. The vast deep blue curtain that separated the two worlds was no longer an impenetrable wall, no longer impenetrable by water or fire, and no longer airtight. Crack! The curtain gradually tore. When the crack was large enough, the meteorite eyes in the shape of a crescent moon squeezed through and slowly moved towards the free sea. At the same time, Yu Yuan, who was inside the demonic fiend cauldron inside the turbid demon fetus, trembled slightly. In the next moment, everyone saw that Yu Yuan's eyes were shining with the light of excitement. Mo Yen, who was about to perform the demonic cocoon soul separation art to separate his own soul from his flesh and blood, saw the sudden change in Qin Lai's body, and the desire to live was instantly rekindled in his heart. Could it be Yu Yuan? Yen Lu instinctively shouted in the sea, not knowing what was going on. Then, everyone saw 8 crimson flames appear behind Yu Yuan's back one after another. As soon as the crimson flames left, they morphed into 8 streaks of crimson light that appeared behind Nie Tian's head. While everyone was flabbergasted, the 8 streaks of light suddenly shrank and condensed into 8 small, blazing suns. The blazing suns hung high in the sky, shining their dazzling light into the depths of the turbid demon fetus. The primal chaos koan, which had been hiding for a long time in the form of a shriveled old man due to Yu Yuan's actions, was exposed to the light of the 8 blazing suns. Yu Yuan's eyes were instantly fixed on the bone-devouring shuttle, and he exclaimed inwardly, "Activate wisdom eyes!" Strange sounds echoed out from the depths of the quiet forbidden land of the fallen moons, thousands of kilometers away. The profound space where the 4 ancient black characters, "Extreme wisdom will be hurt," hung high in the air suddenly burst forth with dazzling black light, as if they could pierce through space and reach any corner of the Howran domain in the blink of an eye. Yu Yuan beckoned to the bone-devouring shuttle with his empty hand and said, "Come here." Upon hearing his words, the ghastly white bone-devouring shuttle moved. The injuries on its soul were instantly healed, and it flew towards Nie Tian obediently. As the bone-devouring shuttle flew through the air, numerous emerald sparks were forcibly stripped from it. The sparks were like the emerald tail of the shuttle, but they were separated midway and could no longer taint the shuttle. "I'm old now, and I don't have the energy to update 3 chapters a day, but I'll definitely work harder this month. Today I'll write 2 chapters. Chapter 472. The stars were dim, the night was deep, and the atmosphere was oppressive. The vast Stardust Sea region was dead silent. It was as if even the insects, birds, and fish had quietly disappeared. There was no longer any movement. Python Queen Suzishi hid on an isolated island. Sometimes she would look at the sky, sometimes she would lower her head and ponder. She was anxious all day long. At first, she would look into the distance and pay close attention to the bone palace where Lord Grey Crow was. She could feel the rapid attacks of the blue crystal on the bone palace. When she used her demon blood to sense, she could sometimes hear Lord Grey Crow's painful cries. Gradually, Grey Crow deliberately distanced himself from the bone palace and fled in the opposite direction of the island she was on. While the bone palace flew through the void, Suzishi used her demon blood to sense once and actually captured a wisp of Grey Crow's soul. It told her to wait for the right time and pay attention to possible changes in the outside world. That wisp of soul allowed her to know that Grey Crow was using the power of the bone palace to pin down the blue crystal. She also learned that the so-called blue crystal was rumored to be the blood spirit altar that the foreign heavenly demons had built with all their strength. The blue crystal was the upper part of the blood spirit altar. It was called the blood spirit altar, an object from beyond the heavens. Grey Crow, who had poured his demon blood on the bone palace, pretended to want to break the seal of the sky, so that the blood spirit altar had no choice but to chase after him. He wanted to prevent the bone palace from being controlled by Grey Crow and being attacked by him. The reason why the blood spirit altar followed the bone palace was that Grey Crow couldn't concentrate on fusing his demon blood with the palace. According to the Grey Crow's soul remembrance, something must have happened to the blood altar under the sea. The blood spirit altar hadn't solved the problem under the sea for a long time. It hadn't risen from the bottom of the sea and fused with the blood spirit altar to display its true power. Grey Crow, who hid in the turtle shell of the Bone Palace, was able to persist until now because they couldn't fuse. Gazing at the deep curtain of night, looking at the thick clouds covering the sky and the starry sky, Suzushi thought from time to time, what exactly are those challengers at the bottom of the sea relying on to be able to obstruct the blood altar, preventing it from achieving its wish, preventing it from flying up into the sky and merging with the spiritual altar for a long time? Even someone as strong as Tang Kan and as talented as Lu Ying had yet to step into the Yin Soul stage. As for Lin Yu, Ho Tianzhao, Qi Nandu, and the others, they were only in the subtle realm. What could they use to resist the other blood altar and prevent it from rising into the air? As for Mo Yin, he was a secret of the Devil's Palace. Other than He Sun, Gray, and Crow, no one knew that he was also at the bottom of the sea. Suzushi naturally did not know. She really wanted to have the strength to pierce through the deep blue curtain and dive into the sea to see what was going on. Calculating the time, more than a month had passed. Based on the usual time, this underwater trial was only half over. If the strange phenomenon hadn't occurred, the elders of the major sects who were cultivating on the various islands might have just entered a meditative state for a moment. Who would have thought that, for a cultivator, the spiritual altar would leap out of the sea and turn countless living people into corpses in the blink of an eye? If she had not been sent away by Grey Crow early on, she would have probably met with misfortune as well, right? It's still early. Those people who left probably didn't expect such a huge change. It should be some time before they can return to the Starash Sea. Suzishi's mood was downcast as she thought to herself, by then, the blood altar might have risen from the sea and merged with the spiritual altar. At that time, Lord Grey Crow and I will probably, the Python Queen sighed. She felt that the chances of survival were getting slimmer and slimmer. All of a sudden, the dim stars in the deep night sky gradually became bright and dazzling. Suzushi was slightly surprised. Curious, she flew into the air once more. A moment later, she became excited. Outside the Starash Sea region, under the veil of night, there seemed to be an enormous flood dragon roiling in the depths of the black-colored sea, and it gave rise to shocking waves and waves. She focused her attention and saw a shining, silver-white meteorite breaking out of the sea. The meteor swayed, as if it had used up all its star energy, and finally floated into the sky. The dim stars were shining brightly. Even though they were separated by infinite space, starlight was attracted by the meteor's magnetic field and sprinkled down. Falling star eyes! The Python Queen could not suppress the joy in her heart. Looking at Lu Ying, Kong Banbai, and Du Huang, she suddenly screamed through the deep blue curtain that still existed. The falling star eyes, which had been severely damaged, were flying above the meteor. There were fragments everywhere. Clearly, they were gathering star energy with the help of the stars in the sky. Seeing the falling star eyes, Suzishi's heart, which had almost dried up in despair, felt like it was being sprinkled by rain. Life had reappeared. Under the sea, Yu Yuan was in the depths of the turbid demon fetus. 8 small blazing suns rose from the back of his head and illuminated the turbid world. Opening his wisdom eye, he waved and said softly, "Come." Immediately, Mo Yen, who was on the verge of despair, and a group of evil demon disciples saw the bone-devouring shuttle break free from the poison of the green flames and rush straight towards him. No one had expected that the soul of the shuttle, which had been eroded by the green flames, would instantly recover and obey his orders. Qi Nandu, who was on the verge of death, had his middle dantian's Xian Men acupoint collapse. Because of this, his great Tao foundation was severely damaged. He had shattered his acupoints to prevent the green flames in the crystal bottle from burning his acupoints through the connection between the shuttle and the crystal bottle and burning him to death. After shattering his acupoints, the connection between him and the crystal bottle was severed. He would no longer be harmed by the flames. Similarly, the subtle connection between him and the bone-devouring shuttle was full of problems because of this. However, when he saw the heavenly evil sex bone-devouring shuttle flying towards Yu Yuan, he wasn't shocked, but rather overjoyed. With great effort, he raised his spirit and shouted at the top of his voice, "Yu Yuan, help us kill those foreign abominations!" Whether it was the primal chaos koan, the turbid demon fetus, the blood altar, or the spirit altar, they were all foreign objects. Born in this world, under the influence of their masters and elders, they believed that the Howran realm was the central great world. They always proudly believed that the Howran realm they lived in was the center of the universe and that they were the supreme intelligent beings. Being forced into such a miserable state by the foreign abominations made them feel deeply humiliated. This kind of humiliation could only be washed away by the death of those foreign abominations and their blood. Kill them! Because of Chi Nanda's shout, many of the remaining evil sect disciples were ignited with anger. The bone-devouring shuttle was like white-cold lightning. Because of Yu Yuan's summons, it arrived in an instant and broke into the blue shadow. Above the turbid fiend fetus, the sky that was filled with tainted supernatural abilities, residual blood and dust was pierced through by the bone-devouring shuttle. Like a sharp sword made of bone, the flying shuttle dropped straight down from above. Inside the turbid demon fetus, the bone-devouring shuttle was guided by Yu Yuan's mind. The shuttle adjusted its angle and stabbed at the primal chaos koan. The primal chaos koan, who had turned into a skinny old man, was hiding in the depths of the turbid demon fetus. Now, his flesh was rotten, and his shriveled body was covered in dirty blood, giving off a foul smell. He floated quietly, enduring the corrosion of the turbid demon fetus. His flesh and soul were filled with all kinds of supernatural impurities. Every time he moved, he would consume a lot of strength. Like a person wrapped in the depths of a swamp, it was difficult for him to move. The primal chaos koan raised his head and looked at the bone-devouring shuttle. He sensed the supernatural power of the dead hidden in the white bone shuttle, which could restrain him. His scarred face became more and more terrifying. ZZZT. Under everyone's gazes, the bone-white bone-devouring shuttle pierced through the chaos koan's skull under the light of Yu Yuan's 8 small suns. The shuttle went from the skull to the waist where the primal chaos koan sat. Like the dark realm Azura Yu Yuan had seen in the land of Wasteland, the skinny old man's body was pierced from head to waist by the bone-devouring shuttle. The primal chaos koan, who had opened his eyes wide, slowly closed them. The wails of the dead souls of the bone-devouring shuttle screamed crazily inside his body. The flesh aura that had been absorbed and condensed by the flying shuttle clashed with the various chaotic energies that had infiltrated his body and exploded. All kinds of supernatural powers, flowing lights and evil energies clashed with each other in the primal chaos koan's body, making noises like firecrackers. Well done! Chi-In of the Juling School raised his arms and cheered when he saw the primal chaos koan's abnormal state. That guy's body and soul were corroded by nearly 100 types of supernatural abilities, venom, tainted power, flesh aura, and strange soul power mixed in the blue shadow. He's suppressing those different kinds of powers with his all-powerful strength to prevent them from exploding inside his body. Chi-In became excited and answered everyone's questions. The flesh aura and evil soul power that had been collected from Liu Bacon, Luo-Yi, and the others in the bone-devouring shuttle fell into his body like a spark falling into a pile of firewood. What's really fatal is not the separation of the shuttle, but the power contained in the shuttle. It's those forces that have detonated. That guy has been trying so hard to sort out the hundreds of conflicting forces that are about to explode in his body. Chi-in danced and laughed loudly in the sea, like a child who had been given candy. Borrowing power to fight power is indeed a smart move. Lin Yu's scarlet eyes shone with a strange light as he said, "The bone-devouring shuttle of the heavenly evil sect isn't enough to kill that foreign entity. What really wants that thing's life is the hundreds of different kinds of strange energies that are mixed and rioting in the blue shadow. That thing is called the turbid demon fetus. It's the power that can really restrict the primal chaos Kuan." Mo Yen, who was sitting on the Kiera devil saber, panted heavily. He was clearly about to collapse, but because of this, he suddenly became much more energetic. He explained to those who didn't know what was going on, in the boundless starry river outside the Howran world, the turbid demon fetus that supports the blood spirit altar is also a great weapon against human grand cultivators. Especially in the Tianyuan continent. Those grand cultivators who have to maintain the purity of their spirit power, flesh aura, and soul will lose a layer of skin if they come into contact with the turbid demon fetus. But the fiend demon sex fiend demon body refining art is unaffected by the turbid demon fetus, and he happens to be cultivating this demonic art. P.S. Here's the first chapter. There's a third update today. I woke up at 6 in the morning to write. I'm so hard-working that even I'm touched. Brothers and sisters, remember to vote and remember to save me. Thank you so much. Chapter 473. In the depths of the turbid demonic fetus, the bone-devouring shuttle had drilled into the primal chaos Kuan's head. Dazzling light burst out of its body, shattering even more streams of supernatural power that covered its body. Looking at each other across the sea, everyone could see the soul-stirring movements inside its body. They could see finger-sized holes constantly appearing in its flesh. The skinny old man's body was riddled with holes like a beehive. Endless light burst out of the beehive holes. Whoosh, whoosh. Like rainbow-like lightning, the light scattered and sputtered everywhere like dragons and snake. At this moment, the evil demon cauldron suddenly arrived. Yu Yuan, who was controlling the cauldron, grinned and practiced the evil demon body refining art. He and the cauldron were like giant whales that madly devoured the rainbow-like lightning bursting out of the primal chaos Kuan's body. Yu Yuan, who was slowly approaching on the cauldron with 8 suns hanging behind his head, smiled and accepted the streams of supernatural power that were being refined and suppressed by the primal chaos Kuan. He didn't forget to tease him. "Old friend, I can't bear to see you trapped here. Instead of letting the turbid demonic fetus slowly corrode your flesh and soul and make you suffer the pain of having your tendons pulled out and your skin peeled off, why don't I give you a ride and set you free as soon as possible? We've known each other for a while, and now you've given me the essence Sunflame. I can't bear to see you suffer." Yu Yuan sighed with emotion, his words full of sincerity. Ho Tianzhao, who was from the Red Devil School and had a big head and big ears, couldn't help but laugh when he saw Nye Tian's hypocrisy. He nodded repeatedly and said, "As expected of the person chosen by my sect's demonic seed. After this trial, if we can leave this place alive, I'll do my best to recommend him to become a direct disciple of the Red Devil School." Lin Yu's scarlet eyes looked at him coldly and said, "Good idea. Have they forgotten that there's still an heavenly devil here?" In the devil's palace, Yen Lu looked at Lin Zhuyun, who was covered in raging green flames, and suddenly felt very strange. After the bone-devouring shuttle plunged into the primal chaos Kuan's body, everyone seemed to have forgotten about Lin Zhuyun, who had caused such a bloody massacre. What was extremely surprising was that Lin Zhuyun, who was still burning, actually did not make any movements. She did not go around killing trial takers, did not rush into the turbid demon fetus, and did not do anything else. However, the others still stayed away from her. They all maintained an appropriate distance from her to avoid being contaminated by the dark green cold flames. The corpses and the 3 souls were burned to ashes together. She probably can't restrain the bone-devouring shuttle. Seeing that what's done cannot be undone, she stopped struggling. Fei Yi, Shi Si, Wu Pei, and Hu Tianyang were standing relatively close to Mo Yen. Upon hearing his words, they fixed their gazes on Mo Yen with astonished expressions. Only to see Mo Yen, who was sitting on the Kiara demonic blade, looking down at the blood altar in confusion. After struggling for a long time, the blood altar, which had been so active earlier that even the gravitational field exerted by the Kiara demonic blade was almost unable to suppress it, was strangely quiet now. The white bones that had piled up like a mountain did not explode. The flesh and blood that had been twisted at the edges did not have their energy, blood, and essence extracted. The blood altar that had sunk into the deep pit at the bottom of the sea did not move at all, as if it was dead. Not only did Mo Yen not need to continue exerting force, he even had the time to take out a precious pill and swallow it into his stomach. Chi Nanda moaned weakly. A golden thread wrapped around his finger flew from his hand, tied the crystal bottle, and pulled it back to him. When the bone-devouring shuttle fell into the turbid demon fetus, the green flames of the crystal bottle automatically flew to Lin Zhuyun. When the golden thread pulled the crystal bottle, Chi Nanda glanced at the burning Lin Zhuyun in a slightly timid manner. Seeing that Lin Zhuyun was not abnormal, did not stop him, and did not look at him, he was relieved and acted boldly. When the crystal bottle returned to its owner, Chi Nandu also let out a sigh of relief and said softly, she should be happy to see the bone-devouring shuttle pierce the primal chaos Kuan. Her previous obstruction was probably because she thought that Yu Yuan's goal was to destroy the turbid demon fetus as much as possible. She probably thought that Yu Yuan wanted to save the primal chaos Kuan. As soon as these words came out, everyone was enlightened. Mo Yen was stunned for a moment and then suddenly understood. He slapped his thigh and said, "That's true. The blood spirit altar and the primal chaos Kuan are the mortal enemies of the starry Ash Sea region. The blood altar wants Yu Yuan to die, and it also wants the primal chaos Kuan to die. This altar with a soul consciousness should be most afraid that Yu Yuan will be bewitched by the primal chaos Kuan. She is afraid that Yu Yuan, who cultivates the fiend body tempering art and has the fiend demon cauldron, is purifying all kinds of filth in the turbid demon fetus in order to save the primal chaos Kuan. That's why she tried her best to stop him. When she found out that Yu Yuan is using the bone-devouring shuttle to deal with the primal chaos Kuan and help the turbid demon fetus detonate the primal chaos Kuan's violent supernatural ability, she would naturally be happy. The burning Lin Zhuyun was possessed by the heavenly demon. The heavenly demon should have descended from the blood spirit altar. The blood spirit altar, and the turbid demon fetus were originally one. Yu Yuan, who controlled the fiend demon cauldron, cultivated the fiend body tempering art, and held the magical scabbard in his hand, was a big threat to the blood spirit altar. The primal chaos Kuan was an even bigger threat. After Yu Yuan had revealed his identity as the successor of the Shunhun sect, the blood spirit altar had lost control of itself. However, when it calmed down, it discovered that Yu Yuan and the primal chaos Kuan, who had appeared together most of the time, weren't ironclad allies. Instead, they had long since held grudges against each other, and enjoyed the benefits when they fought each other. Yu Yuan didn't care what others thought. All he cared about was gathering the rainbow-colored lightning that flowed out of the primal chaos Kuan's body. Wouldn't it be a waste if he didn't take advantage of the chaotic flesh aura and soul of this foreign being to seize the immense power it had been restraining for thousands of years? He knew that if he missed this opportunity, he wouldn't be able to get it. According to the cauldron's soul, as a star behemoth, the essence of the primal chaos Kuan's flesh aura was a truly rare treasure. It was one of the rarest treasures in the depths of the starry river. The countless supernatural abilities, strange powers, and filthy impurities contained in the turbid demon fetus couldn't be compared to the flesh aura essence flowing out of the primal chaos koan at this moment. It was the flesh aura the blood altar had condensed from the corpses of powerful demons and the power of all kinds of undersea monsters. Even so, it was far inferior to the flesh aura essence the star behemoth had refined for thousands of years. The streaks of light that flew in all directions like rainbow-colored lightning were the essence of the primal chaos koan's flesh aura. They were as dazzling as rainbows, beautiful and profound. If the chaos koan had not been sealed for thousands of years, if it had not been corrupted by the turbid demonic fetus for a long time, if it had not been hit by the bone-devouring shuttle at the right time and caused its body to explode, and if it had not been unable to suppress the superpower that had corrupted its body, it would not have ended up so miserable. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yu Yuan's smile couldn't be brighter as he watched the streaks of rainbow-colored lightning vanish into the baleful demon cauldron. The turbid demonic fetus was filled with all kinds of impurities that could destroy his bones, flesh, and internal organs, creating a destructive effect. However, the reforging of his body, the regeneration of his flesh, the connection of his meridians, and the consolidation of his bones couldn't rely on these impurities. He had to refine them slowly day and night with the refined flesh aura in his middle dantian and the profound gate. The yellow hall in the lower dantian and the profound gate in the middle dantian were used to store spiritual power and refine flesh aura. The amount of flesh aura the dantian could hold and how vast it was were mostly determined by nature. It wasn't that there weren't any demonic incantations or impurities that could tamper with nature, but they were extremely rare. Moreover, there were all kinds of drawbacks and restrictions during the process of modification, as well as unpredictable dangers. For example, the life incarnation demonic incantation could change one's yellow hall meridian. If one's soul exploded, they would die for real. There were legends of impurities that could forcefully change the profound gate in the middle dantian, but those who were lucky enough to see them all kept it a secret. The baleful demon cauldron came from the baleful demon sect, which was famous for its body-tempering arts. The baleful demon sect's knowledge and attainments in the tempering and shaping of the flesh and blood of shattering profound realm cultivators could be said to have reached the peak. Because they attached great importance to the cultivation of shattering profound realm cultivators, the cauldron soul of the baleful demon cauldron knew that there was a miraculous item that could benefit the profound gate in the middle dantian during the shattering profound realm. Such a miraculous item didn't exist in Howran. It could only be found in the depths of the Starry River. Unfortunately, the cultivators who encountered such a miraculous item were at least in the sun god realm or higher. Even if they encountered it, it was extremely difficult to obtain and couldn't be used for themselves. Such a miraculous item was the largest and rarest behemoth of the starry sky in the depths of the Starry River outside Howran. To be precise, it was the essence of flesh aura condensed in the behemoth of the starry sky. Such essence of flesh aura could allow human cultivators to create a profound gate in the shattering profound realm. It was the colorful light that Yu Yuan was currently collecting with the baleful demon cauldron, which was sputtering out of the primal chaos koan's body. The turbid demonic fetus contained all kinds of chaotic flowing light, which was as vast as the sea, but its actual value couldn't be compared to the essence of flesh aura of the behemoth of the starry sky. This was the true treasure of heaven and earth. Chapter 474. The Behemoth Essence Amber. Mo Yen exclaimed in a low voice after staring at the turbid demon fetus for a while. As noble and honorable as he was, he couldn't help but reveal a jealous expression at this moment. Back when Yu Yuan had been in the baleful demon cauldron and tempered his body with the baleful demon body tempering art, he hadn't even been this jealous when he had leaped from the middle stage of the Golden Hall realm to the Shattering realm. Even later, when he had learned that Yu Yuan had refined the baleful demon cauldron, He hadn't been as upset as he was now. However, now that he finally understood what Yu Yuan was doing, and heard him say the words Behemoth Essence Amber, he was truly jealous. He was jealous of the streaks of dazzling lightning that had burst out of the primal chaos Koan's body. That was the so-called Behemoth Essence Amber, which was the essence of Star Behemoth's flesh aura. It was the legendary Behemoth Essence Amber that contained the miracles of creation and could be used on all living beings and races, and had infinite wonders. It was said that the star behemoths that roamed the starry river were the first intelligent life forms that had been born when the chaos had first been created. The origin of the star behemoths was much earlier than that of the human race, the demon race in the vast universe, and the extraterrestrial devils. Before the starry river had become a sea of stars, the star behemoths had hibernated in the depths of the starry river, where they breathed and refined the unusual power in the starry river to nourish themselves and improve their intelligence. It was even said that the star behemoths were the ancestors of many intelligent beings. According to the legends, the so-called demons in Howran might have been the seeds of life left by a star behemoth that had accidentally set foot in this heaven and earth, and had been nurtured by this heaven and earth for hundreds of millions of years. The legends of the star behemoths were recorded in different ways by all intelligent races. However, all the high-level races, including the heavenly devils, Shuras, humans, and monsters, had more or less mentioned that the star behemoths were the earliest living beings. It was also possible that they were the origin of many living beings today. After countless eras, the giant starry sky beasts had become so rare that they only existed in legends. Even the young divinity and freedom realm cultivators in Howran heaven and earth might not have the chance to see such a rare treasure in their entire life. The essence of this strange life form contained infinite wonders, and was regarded as an ultimate treasure by all intelligent creatures. Even Emohung felt so jealous that he wanted to vomit blood when he realized that those divine lightning bolts were the essence of the Chaos Koan's flesh aura, and realized what Yu Yuan was doing. Giant beast. That ugly, disgusting old man is actually a star behemoth? He's a giant star beast? How could this be? He's so ugly and bloodthirsty. How can he be a star behemoth? Who knows? When he first started following Yu Yuan, he really was a strange fish. How could a star behemoth be suppressed by the totem pillars if it's not a star behemoth? Those who were lucky enough to survive at the bottom of the sea, such as Shi Si and Hu Tianyang, were shocked when they heard the word giant star beast, and finally realized what level the skinny old man was at. In the depths of the boundless outer space, the giant star behemoth was famous for its huge body. It was said that it could swallow stars and was as large as the sun and the moon. The skinny old man was actually a giant star beast. While Hu Tianyang and the others were shocked by the giant star beast, Lin Yu, Ho Tianzhao, and Qi Nandu noticed the two words after the giant star beast Essence Amber that Mo Yen mentioned. Essence Amber? Giant star beast Essence Amber? Lin Yu of the Blood God shuddered, and a burning desire suddenly appeared in the depths of his scarlet eyes. The giant star beast Essence Amber, Ho Tianzhao of the Red Devil School licked the corner of his mouth as if he was eating something delicious. His face was full of enjoyment as he said, "What a pity, what a pity! I've already crossed the shattering profound realm and reached the refinement realm. The demonic arts of my Red Devil School can't make good use of the giant star beast Essence Amber." He was very regretful. Then, he looked meaningfully at Lin Yu. As a member of the Blood God sect, Lin Yu, no matter what realm he was in, could reap unimaginable benefits by using the giant beast Essence Amber as his main spiritual incantation to refine blood. If someone like Lin Yu obtained the giant star beast Essence Amber, he could break through his realm and condense his Yin spirit. In the future, entering the Soul Shadow and Yang spirit would be a walk in the park. With the help of the giant star beast Essence Amber, many of the Blood God's profound arts could also be cultivated to the peak. The first sect master of the blood god had even thought of using the giant star beast essence amber to refine a young spirit. What is the giant star beast essence amber? Yen Lu's face was blank. Seeing that many people seemed to be bewitched by Mo Yan's soft shout, he couldn't help but be curious and ask Fei Yi, who was beside him at the bottom of the sea. Shi Si and Hu Tianyang also hurriedly looked over. The essence of the star behemoth's flesh aura is miraculous. Outside the starry river, the essence of the star behemoth's flesh aura is called the giant star beast essence amber, and it contains the true essence of life. Fei Yi said with an excited expression. That Yu Yuan probably has his eyes on that star behemoth for a long time. What he really wants is the giant star beast essence amber. It contains the essence of life. Yen Lu still didn't understand. Just one thing. The giant star beast essence amber can be refined into the profound gate of qi and blood by profound shatter realm cultivators. The profound gate of qi and blood in the middle dantian of a cultivator can undergo miraculous changes after being irrigated by the giant star beast essence amber. Fei Yi took a deep breath and added, and this is only one of the miraculous effects of the giant star beast essence amber. Yen Lu, Shi Si, Hu Tianyang, and the others finally understood the miraculous effects of the giant star beast essence amber. Reconstructing the profound gate of qi and blood was only one of the miraculous effects of the giant star beast essence amber. Inside the fiendish demon cauldron, Yu Yuan was using the fiendish body refining art to absorb streaks of colorful lightning. Seeing the giant star beast essence amber fall into the cauldron, a strange look appeared in his eyes. The essence of the star behemoth's qi and blood was dazzling like a divine rainbow. However, as soon as it fell into the fiendish demon cauldron and was examined closely, he discovered that the so-called giant star beast essence amber wasn't liquid. Instead, it was a solid crystal that looked like a 10,000-year-old amber. The Chaos Kuan's qi and blood essence that he had absorbed at the bottom of the cauldron had now turned into pieces of bright yellow amber crystals that exuded a strange rosin fragrance. Just the rosin fragrance alone made one feel relaxed and refreshed, as if all the pores on one's body had relaxed. Because the giant star beast essence amber was really rare, Yu Yuan had only heard of it in his previous life, but had never seen it with his own eyes. He only knew that the giant star beast essence amber could refine the profound gate of qi and blood. And because he hadn't even set foot on the path of cultivation back then, he didn't pay much attention to it. This was the first time he had seen the giant star beast essence amber at the bottom of the cauldron, and he was equally surprised. With the cultivation of the breaking profound realm, if I get the giant star beast essence amber to water the profound gate of qi and blood, the fiendish demon body refining art that I cultivate will definitely reach the peak. Even those fierce figures in the history of the fiendish demon sect, who were famous for their physique, might not be able to compare to me. Yu Yuan secretly hardened his heart and stopped the drifting of the fiendish demon cauldron to collect as much of the giant star beast essence amber as possible. Whoosh whoosh. Just as everyone was paying attention to the Chaos Kuan and staring at the splashing rainbow lightning, a figure that had been still for a long time once again flew out from the bottom of the sea. With a whoosh, the dark green flames burned even more fiercely. The specks of dark green sparks that had been shaken off by the bone-devouring shuttle flew out from the sand at the bottom of the sea and merged into the flames one by one. What is she doing? Qi Nan was stunned. He had thought that while Yu Yuan and the Chaos Kuan were entangled, Lin Zhuyun, who had been possessed by the heavenly demon, would continue to wait. She would wait for the outcome of Yu Yuan and the Chaos Kuan. No one had expected that when the bone-devouring shuttle entered the turbid demon fetus, she, who had remained motionless and coldly watching from the sidelines, would suddenly move after the giant star beast essence amber overflowed. What was even more puzzling was that her target was not the turbid demon fetus, nor was it Yu Yuan or the Chaos Kuan. It was Mo Yen. P.S. 3 chapters, ha, roar, roar. Chapter 475. Mo Yen. Exclamations rang out one after another. Mo Yen, who had suppressed the blood altar with the Gala demonic saber, was another important person besides Yu Yuan. Mo Yen, who had the highest cultivation and the deepest concealment, had used a demonic saber to immobilize the blood altar and buy enough time for Yu Yuan to enter the turbid demonic fetus. Without Mo Yen, Yu Yuan wouldn't have been able to enter the turbid demonic fetus so easily. Without Mo Yen suppressing the blood altar, allowing it to merge with the turbid demonic fetus would have caused more trouble. More importantly, would Lin Zhuyun, who had been possessed by the heavenly demon, greatly increase the power of the blood altar after killing Mo Yen? They had all seen the terror of the green flames and knew how powerful they were. Save him. Qi Nanda held the crystal bottle. Even though he was at the bottom of the sea, he didn't forget to remind everyone. He knew that he had lost the bone-devouring shuttle and the crystal bottle. After shattering the profound gate, he no longer had the strength to fight. The only thing he could do now was to yell and point the way for everyone. Forget it. Ho Tianzhao of the Red Devil School shook his head and sighed softly with a pained expression. Nanming Li Fire Fan. The incomparably large fan slowly unfolded behind Ho Tianzhao like a peacock spreading its tail. Then, it suddenly flew towards Lin Zhuyun. Rivers of fire flowed inside the fan. The fan's ribs, which were as red as fine iron, were like burning red mountains that dragged the enormous fan. The fan suddenly expanded and turned into a sea of fire. It caught up from behind and enveloped the burning Lin Zhuyun. Crackle! Crackle! Inside the sea of fire formed by the Nanming Li fire fan, a cluster of surging green flames was abnormally obvious and still burning vigorously. On the other hand, the rivers of fire and the flowing magma inside the Nanming Li fire fan were actually penetrated by the dark green flames and gradually disappeared. There were also sizzling sounds that carried an extreme chill as they continuously surged into the Nanming Li fire fan. The burning Lin Zhuyun was temporarily trapped by the Nanming Li fire fan, but Ho Tianzhao's expression was not relaxed at all. Instead, it became incomparably heavy. He took out the Nanming Li flame fan and temporarily suppressed Lin Zhuyun. Borrowing the fan's power, he sensed another layer of meaning from the dark green flames. Your Nanming Li fire fan has leveled up from first grade heaven grade to third grade. Ho Tianzhao, you have profited greatly because of Tang Can's death. Qi Yin, Lin Yu, Qi Nandu, and the others all cried out in surprise when they saw Lin Zhuyun trapped. When they saw that the power of the Nanming Li flame fan had increased substantially, they knew that the artifact had suddenly advanced and became envious. Tang Can had died. Before he died, he had turned into a sea of fire that overflowed into the sky. Ho Tianzhao's Nanming Li fire fan had seized the opportunity to enter, forcefully seizing the blazing flame energy and absorbing the burning fireballs into the Nanming Li fire fan. It just so happened that the primal Yang sect's inherited flame incantations and spirit treasures could be devoured and refined by the Red Devil School. After Ho Tianzhao had profited, he had secretly hidden the Nanming Li flame fan and slowly refined it, causing the artifact he was holding to skip 2 grades and directly reach 3rd grade heaven grade. It was extremely difficult to improve the grade of an artifact. It usually required great luck. For example, a sect like the Red Devil School would even be willing to use the sect's resources to improve the grade of the Nanming Li flame fan. Artifacts were the key to measuring a sect's resources. The more high-grade artifacts there were, the more powerful the sect was. Many ownerless high-grade artifacts would cause the disciples and elders of the sect to cultivate with all their might and increase their cultivation in order to be worthy of the artifacts and be rewarded by the sect. With a powerful artifact, Not only would it be helpful in cultivation, it would also greatly increase one's combat strength. Many times, in the eyes of sects and families, artifacts were more important than people. People might die in battle and turn to dust, but artifacts wouldn't. High-grade artifacts wouldn't die because of the death of their owners. No one would be willing to destroy an artifact that had been tempered thousands of times and was famous throughout the world. They would only take the artifact for themselves after killing someone, hide it in secret, or sell it through other means. The ownerless artifacts that were sold would eventually fall into the hands of the original sect and be put into their treasury. After washing away the filth, they would be passed down to the next generation of disciples. The attribute of artifacts was that they could be passed down from generation to generation. When an artifact owner died, it could be passed down to another disciple who cultivated the same spirit art, allowing the artifact's power to be maximized. For example, the blazing halberd, that also came from the Red Devil school and was also a heaven-grade artifact. After the previous owner died, the blazing halberd was passed down to Yuan Qiufang. Fang Yao chose Yuan Qiufang because the spirit art he cultivated resonated with the blazing halberd. As long as Yuan Qiufang could advance step by step and reach the Yin spirit and soul wander realms, he would be able to release the power of the blazing halberd. Any heaven-grade artifact would be recorded in the records of the sect and only passed down to disciples with potential. After the inheritor died, the sect would also take back the artifact. Qi Nanda's crystal glass bottle and the bone-devouring shuttle were also artifacts like this. The Nanming Li flame fan, that was passed down to Ho Tianzhao, had increased in grade because of Tang Can's death. Lin Zhuyun was unable to leave, causing everyone to be envious. When a heaven-grade artifact's grade was increased, not only would he benefit, the sect would reward him when he returned to the Red Devil school. Because not only did he not damage the artifact, but he also increased the grade of the artifact. This was definitely a great contribution. On the contrary, Qi Nandu was a negative example. The profound door was shattered, the crystal glass bottle was damaged, and the bone-devouring shuttle fell into Yuan's hands, but Ho Tianzhao, who was envied by everyone, said with a gloomy face, "The smell of the nine hells' cold abyss." What? Sitting on top of the Kiara demonic saber, Mo Yen, who was secretly on guard when Lin Zhuyun came over, changed his expression. Ho Tianzhao, what do you mean by the smell of the nine hells' cold abyss? The aura of extreme cold carried by the dark green flames burning on her body originates from the nine hells' cold abyss. Ho Tianzhao shouted. When these words were spoken, even more people were surprised. Lin Zhuyun, who was possessed by the heavenly demon, had a low realm. How could she refine the extreme cold power of the nine hells' cold abyss? Those dark green flames were naturally not refined by her. They were carried by the heavenly demon itself. Separated by the sea, Ho Tianzhao, who did not dare to get close to the Nanmingli fire fan, observed the expressionless Lin Zhuyun with dark green eyes and said, "I have bad news. I'm afraid I have to tell everyone." "Speak," Qi Yin said. "The blood spirit altar that has been sealed in the starry ash sea all year round cannot be contaminated by the flames of the nine hells' cold abyss." Ho Tianzhao dragged out his voice to let everyone think about it. He said, "The two seas are very far apart. The floating spiritual altar can't fly to the nine serenities' cold abyss in a short time to refine the green flame. Since the possessed heavenly demon carries the dark green flames hidden in the depths of the nine hells' cold abyss, it means," before he finished, Lin Yu shouted, "the heavenly demon that fell into the sea and possessed Lin Zhuyun did not come from the spiritual altar. Instead, it sensed the movements of the spiritual altar from the outside world, or was summoned by the spiritual altar, and quietly snuck in from somewhere else. As a member of the heavenly demon clan, it must have sensed the movements of the blood spirit altar. The dark creatures that usually hide in the depths of Howren sneaked out." Ho Tianzhao nodded, his face full of worry. "That should be it. Everyone's expressions changed. Even Yu Yuan, who was inside the turbid demon fetus and collecting the behemoth essence amber with the wonders of the fiendish demon cauldron and the fiendish body refining art, fell into deep thought after hearing their conversation. A scene suddenly appeared in his mind. He seemed to see all kinds of demons lurking in Howren, or the descendants of the human race that had entered from the outer space in the early years, heard the call of the blood spirit altar, sensed the fission of the starry ash sea, and secretly snuck in with all kinds of hidden auras. The blood spirit altar of the otherworldly demons could break through the realm barrier of Howren and reach the outer space. Perhaps there were many demons lurking in Howren for many years, or even the descendants of the otherworldly races, who had lived in Howren for many years, wanted to seize the opportunity to leave. The blood spirit altar was the ship they used to cross the outer space. It was their hope to leave. Otherwise, with their own strength, once they revealed themselves in the vast heaven and earth and began to attack the starry sky boundary, they would be mercilessly wiped out by the great cultivators stationed in outer space to protect the vast heaven and earth. Once the blood spirit altar was fully charged, the filthy impurities contained in the turbid demon fetus should be able to render the guardians of outer space helpless. Once they broke through the realm barrier and fell into the boundless outer space, they would be able to fly freely in the sky and swim freely in the sea. They would regain their freedom. This kind of demon was a descendant of a foreign race that had lived in vast expanse heaven and earth for countless years. They were very familiar with vast expanse heaven and earth. They should be very clear about the conflicts and secrets of the great sects in the three continents. If they escaped and successfully entered the depths of the Starry River, they would definitely be warmly accepted by the otherworldly demons and the otherworldly races. They would be a great threat to their safety. It was even possible that they had long since made all kinds of preparations in Howren, or secretly set up grand spell formations in the depths of famous mountains and rivers that could communicate with the outside world, or open realms that could be used to open realms. This is not good. This is indeed not good. The more he thought about it, the more uneasy Yu Yuan became. He had a feeling that the blood spirit altar was a great threat. If the otherworldly demons that had possessed Lin Zhuyun had snuck in from the outside world with the blood spirit altar's permission, they might be able to pass through the deep blue curtain. There might be more than one such otherworldly demon. Perhaps even more otherworldly demons that had been hiding for thousands of years were already on their way here. Shaking his head, Yu Yuan said, "I hope that's not the case. I won't be able to restrain her for long," Ho Tianzhao shouted. His gaze swept past Mo Yen and landed on Yu Yuan. "Think of a way to solve the problem at the bottom of the sea as soon as possible." Chapter 476. While Yu Yuan was having a headache, a chill suddenly rose from the bottom of his heart. An inexplicable sense of fear and uneasiness enveloped him like an icy lake. He, who had gathered the giant beast essence amber, didn't know what was going on. He looked around in surprise. He wanted to know what had happened to him that caused him to feel so uneasy and fearful. After activating his wisdom eye, his senses had increased by several times. His mind was unusually clear. He could see the slightest changes and sort out complicated problems in a short time. His gaze swept across the primal chaos Kuan. It suddenly gathered back. The bone-devouring shuttle, which had been summoned by his mind and pierced through the primal chaos Kuan's skull and into the giant beast's spine, had disappeared. The sharp tip of the shuttle and the white bone at the tail seemed to have completely merged with the primal chaos Kuan's flesh and blood. The wisps of lightning coming out of the shriveled old man's body, which was like a hornet's nest, suddenly stopped darting around. When they sputtered outside, they returned to his body like electric snake. The primal chaos Kuan, whose eyes were closed and roaring for a while, had calmed down at some point. "Go!" The cauldron soul's roar suddenly resounded in Yu Yuan's mind and soul, shaking his three souls. A feeling of extreme danger came from the primal chaos Kuan, making Yu Yuan, who was the closest to it, feel that just being next to it was dangerous. He didn't dare to think too much. He immediately stopped the crazy rotation of the evil demon body, refining art, and stopped trying to pull the giant beast essence amber. Instead, he flew away on the evil demon cauldron. Crack! Crack! The crisp sound of bones being tempered and recast came from the primal chaos Kuan's body. In the next moment, the bone-devouring shuttle was slowly pulled out of the skull by a withered hand. The primal chaos Kuan opened his eyes. One of them was crimson, and the other was white, flowing with light. He laughed in a low voice. His laughter was excited, and his smile was cruel and bloodthirsty. The ancient demon formation of heaven that the ancient demons used to suppress me. One of the 36 totem poles was destroyed by your sword sheath in my body. At that time, the ancient demon formation of heaven was declared broken. He raised his head and looked at Yu Yuan, who was desperately trying to escape. His smile became even more terrifying. After I broke them, I refined the remaining 35 totem poles on my back and turned them into my weapons. I can use them now. A pity, because you destroyed one of the totem pillars, the remaining 35 cannot recreate the heavenly capital ancient demon formation. 35 and 36. Although there's only a difference of one strand, they can't form a formation. Hee hee kid, you're really good to me. You'll give me whatever I need. This bone-devouring shuttle, that you sent in, refined from the bones of a greater demon, was refined by me into the 36th totem pole. The heavenly capital ancient demon formation has finally reappeared under my control. He Dun Kuan grinned hideously. One by one, the 35 totem poles flew out from his withered back. The 35 sky-reaching stone pillars arranged themselves into a formation inside the turbid demon fetus. Under the control of He Dun Kuan, they were like 35 sea-stabilizing needles that were inserted into the bottom of the Stardust Sea. The bone-devouring shuttle that he pulled out and landed in his palm was wrapped in dazzling rainbow light. After being refined by the giant beast essence amber that he had refined for tens of thousands of years, it was undergoing miraculous changes. The white bone shuttle gradually grew bigger and bigger. Engraved with his flesh power, it turned into the 36th totem pole. Whoosh! As He Dun Kuan laughed wildly, the 36th totem pole flew out of his hand and firmly took root in another place at the bottom of the sea. In an instant, heaven and earth changed. Stars moved, and the sun and moon hung in the sky. A blazing sun and a cold crescent moon appeared inside the turbid demon fetus at the same time. Yu Yuan turned pale with fright as he looked at the sun and moon hanging in the sky. He knew that it wasn't the sun and moon hanging in the sky, but the primal chaos Kuan's true form. The sun and moon hanging in the sky were the two eyes that appeared after the primal chaos Kuan's true form appeared. Zlotsla! Above the turbid devil fetus, the deep blue darkness that was slowly pressing down was cracking, as if it could not bear the weight anymore. It sounded like a fishing net that had been stretched open by a behemoth, and the net was about to break apart. My God! Yen Lu exclaimed. Quick, look! What's that? Everyone's gazes immediately fell on the turbid demon fetus. In the depths of the blue shadow, an enormous figure seemed to be slowly stretching its body from a crouched state and growing bigger. At the top of the turbid demon fetus, where it bordered the deep blue darkness, fins that were as sharp as swords broke through the deep blue darkness and pierced into the sea. Like rows of swords, the fins were so sharp that they seemed to be able to pierce through the sky. The deep blue darkness, which separated the surface of the sea from the bottom of the sea, was as fragile as a piece of paper when the fins pierced into the sky, and no one could break through it. It was instantly pierced through. The turbid demon fetus, which occupied a vast area, gradually lost its concealment as the enormous figure appeared. Rows of sawtooth fish heads and spiky fish tails protruded from the two ends of the turbid demon fetus. That strange fish that has been following Yu Yuan all this time. It's that strange fish. I know what it looks like. Some of the Red Devil School's teenagers were dumbstruck as they watched the primal chaos koan inside the turbid demon fetus grow bigger and break through the deep blue darkness. They screamed hysterically. The primal chaos koan. How can this be? How can it fully reveal itself? Sitting on the demonic saber, Mo Yen saw the sudden change in the situation, and his face turned pale. He was so shocked that he didn't know what to do next. Release the blood altar. Stop suppressing Lin Zhuyun. Yu Yuan's howls came from inside the turbid demon fetus. The primal chaos koan has activated the ancient demon formation of Heaven Capital. Its battle prowess has skyrocketed, and it can now reveal its true form. From now on, the blood spirit altar in the starry ash sea will become its target. We only need to escape from this great change. He was still trapped inside the turbid demon fetus, and couldn't escape, so he could only warn Ye Tian. Mo Yen went blank for a few seconds and said angrily, "Look at what you've done!" Even though he was cursing, he responded with action at the first moment. Riding the Kiara demonic saber and flying away, he didn't forget to shout, "Ho Tianzhao! Take back the Nanming flame fan!" Ho Tianzhao's mind was muddled. Not knowing what to do, he subconsciously obeyed. The Nanming flame fan that had engulfed Lin Zhuyun immediately withdrew all of its flames and flew back to him. At this time, Lin Zhuyun, who was burning fiercely, couldn't care less about him. She rushed toward the blood altar. Without Mo Yan's suppression, the blood altar that had sunk into the pit at the bottom of the sea floated up again. While the blood altar was flying toward the turbid demon fetus, Lin Zhuyun, who was burning with green flames, suddenly arrived and landed on top of the blood altar. Ryup! The deep blue serene curtain that covered the entire sea of stardust was like an enormous net that was being torn apart by an enormous, strange fish. The net was being deformed. On the surface of the sea, the brilliant blue curtain of light suddenly protruded from a part of the sea like a small mountain. The sparkling blue light of the hidden curtain scattered in all directions and then collapsed. The Python Queen Su Zixuan flew back into the sky. She could only see that in the sea region of millions of li, large tracts of formless blue light were being shattered in all directions. It was like a blue mirror that exploded one after another. The blue fragments that exploded flew toward the high bulge, as if they were gathering all of their strength to attack the foreign object that rose from the bottom of the sea. Fins. Such enormous fins. Is it a giant demon at the bottom of the sea? Su Zixuan hadn't realized what was going on yet. She looked in that direction in confusion. It's a star behemoth called the Chaos Koan. Not far away, Lu Ying, who was gathering star power with her meteor eyes because of the shattering of the deep blue curtain, also saw Su Zixuan after the ward disappeared and explained to her. A star behemoth. Su Zixuan turned pale with fright. If you don't, remember to collect it. Old Renegade has been working hard recently. Everyone can see that, love you. Chapter 477. The blue light screen exploded, the seawater evaporated, and a strange phenomenon appeared in the sky. The stars in the deep night sky suddenly shone brightly. It was as if the entire sky of the Starash Sea region had been covered by a dark veil. On the contrary, the Chaos Koan's surging sea broke through the veil and tore open the sky, revealing the true appearance of this small world that had been covered by the blood spirit altar. The array within the meteor fall star eye that floated in the air rumbled, and the amount of star energy it attracted instantly increased by several times. After the Python Queen Su Zixi recovered from her shock, her figure suddenly disappeared. When she reappeared, she was standing in front of Lu Ying above the meteor fall star eye. she said, "what's going on at the bottom of the sea?" Lu Ying's face was pale and she looked exhausted. She smiled sadly. "Aunt Su, it's really hard to explain what's going on at the bottom of the sea." Su Yen, Kong Banbai, Du Huang, and the others should have been overjoyed to see the light of day again. However, when they saw the primal chaos Kuan under the sea turning the Stardust Sea upside down, they felt even more uneasy. Whoosh whoosh! Thousands of kilometers away, countless Een spirits and ghosts appeared out of nowhere. They walked through the air and rushed to the bottom of the sea. In the depths of the dense crowd of Een spirits and ghosts stood a 7-story pagoda. The pagoda was filled with a ghostly aura, and many powerful spirits sat on different floors of the pagoda. On the 7th floor, a white-robed man stood with his hands behind his back. His long robes fluttered, and there seemed to be no flesh or bones within them. The white-robed man seemed to be the master of thousands of Een spirits and ghosts. He controlled the pagoda and drove countless Een spirits and ghosts towards the bottom of the sea like an army entering an army. Su Zishi only took a glance from afar and cried out, "The land of terror, the white-robed ghost!" In another part of the sky, a 5-colored cloud slowly floated over. In the depths of the cloud, there was a giant peach tree with blooming peach blossoms. Under the blossoming peach blossom tree, a woman was leaning against an ancient scroll and reading with great interest. The woman had a slender figure and a beautiful posture. However, because she was focused on reading and was far away, her true appearance couldn't be seen. When the 5-colored cloud floated past the blue crystal-like spiritual altar, the reading woman, who had her back to the crowd, raised her head to look at the spiritual altar and gently nodded. A beam of pure soul light extended from the spiritual altar, falling into the peach tree with the 5-colored clouds. The blooming peach blossoms suddenly became sparkling and translucent, releasing a jade-like luster. The woman seemed to chuckle softly. She plucked a peach blossom and placed it in her mouth, chewing it carefully with a joyful expression. "Who?" The satisfied woman steered the multicolored cloud and sank into the sea together with the giant peach tree. She casually threw out the ancient book in her hand, which was as big as a mountain. Numerous strange golden characters seemed to have been bestowed with boundless strength by the gods, and they emitted dazzling light as they arranged themselves in a formation and descended into the depths of the sea. "Rosy cloud miasma sea, Lady Peach." Su Zishi's tone was bitter, her face as ugly as it could be. Another white crane floated over. On top of the white crane sat a white-haired man playing a flute. The sound of the flute lingered in the air, and the spirit fog around him was dense. He was immersed in the sound of the flute, as if he didn't know how big the world was. The Python Queen Su Zishi didn't recognize the white-haired man playing the flute, but when she saw the white crane, her face turned gloomy. Even though they were very far apart, the white crane seemed to sense her gaze, and it glanced back. The white crane's eyes were deathly still. Su Zishi looked at the crane's eyes, and it was as if she was looking at countless graves and a sea of corpses. In an instant, she spat out a mouthful of blood, but she was completely unaware. "Aunt Su, Aunt Su?" Lu Ying supported her and saw her shocked expression. Su Zishi muttered to herself, then suddenly spat out another mouthful of blood. The starfall eyes, which had exhausted all their star energy, were no longer Lu Ying's eyes. Her realm was too low, and she couldn't see the strange scene from 1,000 kilometers away. She couldn't see it, but Su Zishi could. The crane that the Goblin Temple ordered to be killed is Lord Grey Crow's mortal enemy. He actually appeared, and he's even being ridden by someone. Or maybe the person riding him isn't even human. Su Zishi muttered to herself and sat down on the ground, her heart in a mess. How could the white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, the white crane, and the flute man appear in the Starash region at the same time, and at such a time? Who had summoned them and lured them here? Lu Ying, Kong Banbai, Du Huang, and the others were all young cultivators of the Tianyuan continent. They didn't know how many powerful people were hidden in the tranquil continent. There were many vicious beasts that came and went by themselves. Even the Goblin Temple and the Devil's Palace felt a headache coming on. The white-robed ghost in the Land of Terror and Madame Peach Blossom in the rosy cloud miasma sea were both such anomalies. They had become one with the small world of the alien realm and were unrestrained in their own world. The White Crane had once been a greater Yao of the Goblin Temple. However, because he had killed too many people in the Qianxian continent and shaken the foundation of mortals, he had been heavily injured by the Princess Qing Luan of the Azure Luan Empire and had almost been killed. The Goblin Temple had acquiesced to this and failed to uphold justice for him, causing him to betray the Goblin Temple and commit even more crimes. The Goblin Temple was enraged and ordered him to be killed. However, hundreds of years had passed, and he still appeared from time to time. He hadn't died. However, he had become more and more careful in his actions and didn't reveal himself often. In the past, every time he appeared, he would only catch a glimpse of him and didn't dare to be so arrogant. But now, he had appeared above the Starash region in such an ostentatious manner. He even allowed someone to ride on him and play the flute? Su Zixi mind was muddled. She only felt that everything that had happened was indescribably strange. She couldn't sort out her thoughts and didn't know what was happening in the Starash region. Whoosh! Ho Tianzhao, holding the Nanmingli fire fan in both hands, suddenly broke through the surface of the sea and was the first to emerge. He saw Su Zixi from 100 miles away and waved excitedly. As soon as Ho Tianzhao showed his head, more and more disciples of the Devil Path rushed out of the sea, one after another, without the seal of the dark blue curtain. At the bottom of the sea, Qi Nandu of the Heavenly Evil sect circulated his spiritual energy and slowly floated up after the deep blue darkness curtain was broken. Qi Yin and Fei Yi of the Devil's Palace were with him. After the seal was lifted, Mo Yen of the Devil's Palace and Lin Yu of the Blood God were the only ones who didn't rush to the surface of the sea. Mo Yen, wielding the Kiara demonic saber, watched the blood altar burning with emerald green flames charge towards the turbid demon fetus. Suddenly, Mo Yan's expression changed. On the distant sea surface, a vast number of ghouls and ghosts wrapped around a 7-story pagoda fell in the direction of the blood altar and the turbid demon fetus. At the top of the pagoda, a white-robed man called out softly the moment he entered the sea, "Hey Sun!" His voice was soft and gentle, but it spread to every corner of the Starash region. Hey Sun! Mo Yen and Lin Yu, who were still at the bottom of the sea, were dumbfounded and confused. "I'm here." A voice that Mo Yen couldn't be more familiar with suddenly rang out. The moment Mo Yen and Lin Yu heard the voice, it was as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. They were so scared that their souls almost flew out of their bodies. The voice of Lord He Sun, the guardian of the Devil's Palace in the Starash region, actually came from the blood altar. He Sun! Controlling the fiend demon cauldron, Yu Yuan, who had forcibly broken free of the heavenly capital ancient demon formation when the sun and moon hung in the sky, was inside the cauldron, looking at the blood altar on the other side through the transparent turbid demon fetus. The guardian of the Devil's Palace was inside the blood altar. No matter how he thought about it, He Sun, who had secretly communicated with him through a cluster of demonic patterns inside the fiend demon cauldron, wasn't on the surface of the sea. Instead, he was under the sea at the blood altar. Whoosh! An enormous abyss devil shadow appeared from the depths of the blood altar. It was formed from the twisting light and shadows. When Qin Lai appeared, Lin Zhuyun, who was burning with green flames, slightly distanced herself from him. He Sun! Mo Yen gripped the gala demonic blade, his eyes spitting fire. He pointed the demonic blade at the blood altar and said, "The destruction of the blood spirit altar and the destruction on the sea and under the sea were your handiwork? How dare you betray the Devil's Palace?" He Sun, who had taught him how to act with the gala demonic blade, and cooperated with Yu Yuan to suppress the Chaos Kuan, was inside the blood altar. Lin Yu's expression suddenly changed. Inside the fiend demon cauldron, Yu Yuan's body shook. He was also shocked. He Sun had told him to be wary of the Chaos Kuan from the moment he had transmitted his soul voice. He said that the Chaos Kuan was the greatest threat at the bottom of the sea. He said that all of his arrangements were to seal the Chaos Kuan and that he should work with Mo Yen to deal with the Chaos Kuan at all costs. When He Sun appeared, Yu Yuan suddenly felt that all the information he had received so far might be false. "It's good that you're here. Why haven't you stabilized the situation after so long?" On the 7-story pagoda, the white-robed ghost's robes fluttered, his eyes filled with surprise. "You actually let the Chaos Kuan escape the control of the blood altar and reveal its true form? Too many accidents have happened." He Sun explained apologetically, "This ferry is still intact. Those who want to board it only need to help suppress the Chaos Kuan and prevent it from ruining things." As he spoke, the islands in the starry ash sea suddenly erupted with bloody light of spirit energy. 2 other He Sun flew over and landed on the blood altar. With a single glance, Yu Yuan knew that the first one to take form on the blood altar was He Sun's Yin soul. The other 2 were his true form and the refined Yang soul. Chapter 478. He Sun's true form and the Yang god that had been hiding for a long time sank into the sea together. Almost at the same time, the woman sitting on the 5-colored cloud and leaning against the peach blossom tree also entered the sea with a smile on her face. A crane's cry pierced through the seawater, causing everyone's eardrums to hurt. The white crane, which exuded a deathly stillness, also entered the sea with a lithe and agile figure. The man on the white crane finally put down the jade flute in his hand and looked indifferently at the white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, and the 3 He Sun standing on the blood altar. The 3 He Sun, guarding the Devil's Palace, slowly merged into one. The Yin god and Yang god He Sun squeezed into his true form, one on the left and one on the right. The moment the 2 He Sun entered his true form, many of the scattered islands in the Stardust Sea exploded one after another. Dozens of streaks of devilish lightning flew out of the shattered islands and instantly rushed towards He Sun. The thick seawater above He Sun's head suddenly parted. A huge hole appeared on the surface of the sea to receive the incoming streaks of devilish lightning. The white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, and the white-haired man on the crane mount were scattered in the 3 corners of the blood altar. Whoosh! The white-robed ghost swung his robe and swung the vast swarm of Yin souls and specters. The 3 enormous outsider souls on the 7-story pagoda opened their mouths and swallowed hundreds of Yin souls. They chewed wantonly and activated strange soul magic. The 3 outsider souls left the pagoda and either pulled or grabbed at the Yin souls to draw the secret soul diagrams. After the 3 strange secret soul diagrams were inscribed out of thin air using soul energy, they fluttered as they floated towards He Sun. The streaks of devilish lightning that came from the hole in the sea instantly fell into the 3 secret soul diagrams, bestowing new life and power to the souls within them. He Sun opened his hand and put the 3 secret soul diagrams into his pouch. With a smile, he expressed his thanks. "Here's the ship fare." Madame Peach Blossom smiled sweetly. The sparkling and translucent peach blossoms were plucked by her and scattered to He Sun. He Sun didn't hesitate. He burst out laughing as a beam of light shot out from the top of his head, sucking the peach blossoms into his sea of consciousness. The man playing the flute and riding the crane said with a cold expression, "I don't have the fare." "I wouldn't dare," He Sun said hurriedly. As he spoke, dozens of bolts of devilish lightning shot down from the hole above his head. Countless blood snakes could be seen in the depths of the blood altar. They were the condensation of pure flesh aura essence. Like a gift from the blood altar, they had also entered his body. The aura of He Sun, the guardian of the Devil's Palace, instantly filled the stardust sea. The great Tao of this world and the unbreakable rules seemed to be slightly adjusted because of Heisun. Carefree state, one with the Tao of heaven and earth. Lin Yu of the blood god suppressed the fear in his heart. After observing for a long time at the bottom of the sea, he finally dispelled all of his fantasies. His greed for the giant beast essence amber was completely cut off when he saw what Heisun was doing. Lin Yu didn't dare to move too quickly or be too obvious. He quietly escaped towards the sea. The reason he was so cautious was obviously because he was afraid of attracting the attention of Heisun and those vicious and evil people. Those legendary evil people could take his life with just a glance. Black Emoyen, the wielder of the Kiera demonic saber, stuttered. He no longer dared to call Heisun a traitor. He held it in and didn't say another word. He could clearly see the blood altar and Heisun, but he kept retreating at the bottom of the sea. He didn't even charge out of the sea. He just moved further and further under the sea. Both he and Lin Yu could see that Heisun, who had been overseeing the Starry Ash Sea region for many years, wanted to use the blood altar to merge with the entire Starry Ash Sea region. He wanted to use the demonic brilliance divine lightning he had secretly stored for an unknown period of time to break through to the Freedom Realm in a short amount of time. A young spirit grand cultivator could merge with the world and obtain great freedom. Freedom Realm grand cultivators were extremely rare in Howren. Every one of them had the right to establish a sect. The Heavenly Evil Sect, Juling School, Blood God, Guefu School, Voodoo, and other experts were all in the Freedom Realm. In the Tianyuan continent, most of the sect masters of the 7 great sects were in the same realm. The Freedom Realm was second only to the Primordial Spirit Realm. Even outside the universe, a Freedom Realm Grand Cultivator was outstanding and looked down on all heroes. And now, Heisun, who was infamous even outside of Howren, was breaking through to the Freedom Realm in the Starry Ash Sea region. When he was breaking through, the white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, and the flute player and crane rider were all helping him to prevent outside interference and destroying his foundation. Such a plan couldn't have been made overnight. Without a few years or decades of planning, there was no way they could have such tacit understanding. Mo Yen gradually saw how complete Heisun's control of the Starry Ash Sea region was. He also knew that Heisun had probably reached an agreement with the Blood Spirit Altar a long time ago. Not only did he want to break through to the Freedom Realm in the Starry Ash Sea region, he also wanted to use the Blood Spirit Altar to break through the seal of the world and charge into the outer universe. Not only did he want to leave and completely break away from Howren, he also wanted to take some people with him. He saw the Blood Spirit Altar as a ferry that could break through the world barrier and step into outer space. The lonely souls and ghosts that were restricted to this world were passengers. The white-robed ghost in the Land of Terror, Lady Peach in the Rosy Cloud Miasma Sea, the White Crane, and the flute player were all passengers. The one who had summoned them here wasn't the Blood Spirit Altar, but the Devil's Palace's guardian, Heisun himself. Inside the cauldron, Yu Yuan's thoughts moved as he quietly retreated. At this time, he didn't have too many thoughts. He didn't want to think about whether the information Heisun sent him through the Fiend Demon Cauldron was true or false. He just wanted to stay out of this. The fission of the Starry Ash Sea region was world-shaking. It was bound to cause a chain reaction. With the betrayal of the Devil's Palace's guardian, Heisun, the white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, the White Crane, and the Crane Rider's arrival, a bloody feast around the Blood Spirit Altar had quietly begun. Their battle with the Blood Spirit Altar and the Primal Chaos Kuan at the bottom of the sea was just the appetizer before the feast. Later, more overlords, devils, and great demons would descend on this place. Before the Blood Spirit Altar flew into the air and charged out of Howren, there would be an incomparably fierce battle. He didn't want to become a target for those powerful cultivators to kill. The Fiend Demon Cauldron didn't float in the air. Instead, it howled at the bottom of the sea, trying to get as far away from the blood spirit altar and the fiend embryo as possible. Deep inside the fiend embryo, the primal Chaos Koan's true form was still expanding. Just what is the relationship between Hae-sun and those fellows and the primal Chaos Koan? Yu Yuan couldn't help wondering. He had heard of the white-robed ghost in the Land of Terror and Lady Peach in the rosy cloud miasma sea in his previous life. He had even seen Lady Peach before. It was just that he didn't have a deep relationship with her. The white-robed ghost was rumored to be a powerful cultivator from Xuantianzong in the Tianyuan continent. After he died, a strand of his remnant soul gradually grew in the Land of Terror, forming a pure spiritual being. Yan Qiling and Long Tianxiao both walked a similar path. As for the Land of Terror, it was one of the most mystical places in Howren. It was naturally suitable for spirits to grow. If Yan Qiling and Long Tianxiao wanted to break through in the area of spirits, they would most likely have to enter the Land of Terror in the future. The Land of Terror was extremely dangerous. Flesh and blood were not allowed to enter. As for human cultivators, the lowest threshold to enter was the Een spirit realm. The strongest expert in the Land of Terror was rumored to be comparable to a primordial spirit cultivator. Even the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple were unable to do anything to that expert in the Land of Terror. The fact that the white-robed ghost was able to establish his own territory in that mystical place and obtain the title of Ghost was enough to prove his power. In the Land of Terror, Ghost was equivalent to a Freedom Realm cultivator. Once he left the Land of Terror and went to another place in Howren, he would automatically drop a level and become a Yang spirit cultivator. As for Lady Peach in the rosy cloud miasma sea, her origins were even more mysterious. Although Yu Yuan had seen her in his previous life, he didn't know where she came from. He had only heard that Lady Peach had once been the companion of a primordial spirit cultivator. As for who that primordial spirit cultivator was, or whether he was still alive, he didn't know. In his previous life, Lady Peach had asked him for a medicinal pill, and he had asked her for some rare miasma clouds in the depths of the rosy cloud miasma sea. The two of them had only made this transaction. As for the white crane and the person playing the flute and riding the crane, he had never heard of them, nor had he had any contact with them. Perhaps they were an evil race that would suddenly appear 300 years later. However, seeing the white-haired person's attitude towards Hae-sun and the respect that Hae-sun had shown him, it seemed that the white-robed ghost was even more difficult to deal with than the white-robed ghost and Lady Peach. Yu Yuan knew that he couldn't afford to offend such a person, so it was best to stay as far away as possible. What surprised him was that Hae-sun, who had communicated with him using the fiendish demon cauldron, didn't chase after him, nor did he have any intention of taking the fiendish demon cauldron. Suddenly, he saw that Hae-sun, who was on the blood altar, was smiling at him with a meaningful gaze from far away. He didn't know what to do. At this moment, the fiendish demon cauldron that had taken him away shook slightly. It was the soul of the cauldron that was shaking. "What's wrong?" Yu Yuan asked with rapt attention. "When you practiced the fiendish demon body tempering art in the cauldron, you didn't receive my true acknowledgement," the cauldron said slowly. The cauldron's soul said slowly, "What truly made me acknowledge you and willingly follow you wasn't the demonic fiend sex body arts you've cultivated." "I know," Yu Yuan said. "It was my extreme wisdom soul tempering art, the inheritance of the Shenhun sect." "Yes," the cauldron answered. After a long silence, it continued, "To the guardian of the Devil's Palace, Missouri Yen and the children of the Blood God are not even worth mentioning. Because they are too weak, he doesn't even have the interest to kill them. As for you, because of the existence of the fiendish demon cauldron and the fact that you were bewitched by the Chaos Koan and helped it escape, he shouldn't have let you go." Yu Yuan thought for a moment and said, "At the very least, he shouldn't have let me take you and this cauldron away so easily." After refining the fiendish demon cauldron and obtaining many giant beasts' essence jades, he had advanced to the shattering profound realm. This trip could be said to be a fruitful one. With the power that He-Sun, the guardian of the Devil Palace, had displayed at this moment, and with the protection that the three had given him, before the primal Chaos Kuan had displayed its strongest power, it would not be difficult for him to kill him. However, He-Sun didn't do that. Yu Yuan had racked his brains before, but he still couldn't figure out the reason. The cauldron's soul paused for a long time before it finally gave an answer. He allowed you to take me away because you truly received my acknowledgement. The way you received my acknowledgement was that you used the extreme wisdom soul tempering art. It was because you practiced the mysterious soul arts of the Shenhun sect, and because you are the secret inheritor of the Shenhun sect. Yu Yuan shuddered. Then, He-Sun? You guessed right. He's the same as you, the cauldron replied. He-Sun should have received some inheritance of the Shenhun sect in the outer realms of the Starry River later. After he returned to the Howran realm, he secretly made arrangements and caused such a huge commotion in the Starry Ash Sea. The Shenhun sect. Chapter 479. In the depths of the Stardust Sea, the 36 totem poles were like towering mountains that were growing taller and taller. Mountains were rising from the bottom of the sea. Crack, crack, crack. Because He-Sun had broken through and summoned the demonic energy that had been stored for many years, the shattered rocks of the island were pulled by the totem poles and whistled in the air. The scene of thousands of giant rocks flying in the air appeared in the air above the sea in a shocking way. The rocks of the island were attached to the totem poles and turned into new mountains. Roar! Roar, roar, roar! The angry roars of the ancient demon race came out of the new mountains. It seemed that there were many great demons entrenched at the top of the mountains and talking to each other with demon roars. Rolling demonic energy surged between the 36 mountains, trying to suppress the strange changes on the island. Lin Yu, Ho Tianzhao, Qi Nandu, Qi Yin, and the other survivors floated in the air with the help of the artifacts. They looked at the great changes in the world and the sea and were somewhat at a loss. The sky capital ancient demon formation. After a long while, Qi Yin was the first to realize and let out a shocked cry. It's the stone pillars on the back of the Chaos Kraken. Lin Yu explained to everyone. After the Chaos Kraken refined the bone-devouring shuttle of the Heavenly Evil sect, it gathered the 36th totem pole and allowed the sky capital ancient demon formation to reappear in the world. However, this demon formation is no longer used to suppress the Chaos Kraken, but for him. Ho Tianzhao yelled from afar, "Let's take one step at a time." Meteor eyes. Hundreds of miles away, a giant silver meteor shone in the night sky and attracted their attention. Needless to say, everyone looked at the meteor eyes. "Where's Mo Yen? Have you seen Mo Yen?" Fei Yi Yen Lu Wu Pei and the others of the Devil's Palace landed on the Nanmingli Fire Fan under Ho Tianzhao's call. Standing on the crimson treasure fan that was like walking on flat ground, he did not forget to ask as he felt the warmth and speed of the treasure fan. The advanced Nanmingli Fire Fan flew through the air like a rainbow, pulling Qi Nandu, Qi Yin, and the survivors into it. Before it had advanced, this heaven-grade artifact from the Red Devil School was not powerful enough to carry so many people, nor was it capable of such a high speed. After picking up Lin Yu, Ho Tianzhao asked, "Where's Mo Yen?" "Don't bother about him." Lin Yu gasped for breath, not because he had used up too much energy, but because he was too shocked. The guardian of the Devil's Palace betrayed the Howran world and made a secret contract with the Blood Altar. The white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, and that white crane rider all came from different directions to protect him and assist him in fusing with the Tao of the Starry Ash Sea so that he can seek freedom. Tao integration in this sea region? To achieve great freedom? Guardian He-Sun betrayed us? Were those people summoned to the starry ash sea region by He Sun? Everyone turned pale with fright. Because of Lin Yu's words, they no longer cared about Mo Yen. At the bottom of the sea, everyone relied on Mo Yen to suppress the blood altar with the Kiara demonic blade. Now that the deep blue curtain had been torn apart, all the seals imposed on this sea region had also been declared ineffective. The people who no longer needed Mo Yen only wanted to get as far away from this place as possible. Who cared about his life or death? Ho Tianzhao, Lin Yu, and Qi Nandu above the falling star eyes, Lu Ying felt the sprinkling of starlight, the energy of the artifact beneath her, and the recovery of the artifact's soul. She looked into the distance and stared at the Nanmingli fire fan. She saw many familiar figures. Where's Yu Yuan? Where's Yu Yuan? Lu Ying's mood instantly fell to the bottom of the valley. An inexplicable sadness came from her heart. Her clear eyes seemed to be covered by a gray fog. Her voice grew louder and more anxious. Show me the world at the bottom of the sea. She ordered the artifact's soul with her mind to know what was happening at the bottom of the sea. Not yet. Also, the bottom of the sea right now is too scary. Like a child being reprimanded by a parent, the artifact's soul of the meteoric star eyes transmitted a weak message with grievance. Lu Ying, wait for Ho Tianzhao and the others to come. We have to leave the starry ash sea region. Python Queen Su Zishi stood in the meteoric star eyes and looked down at the great changes in the sea. She had an extremely bad feeling. The great commotion here is not something we can participate in. Even if Fang Yao and the others return, I'm afraid they won't be able to do anything. Fang Yao of the Red Devil School was only in the Soul Wander realm. He hadn't reached the Sun God realm yet. The white-robed ghost of the Land of Terror, Lady Peach of the Rosy Cloud Miasma Sea, and the White Crane were all stronger and more ancient figures than the current Fang Yao. Not to mention, there was also a flute player and crane rider of unknown origins. Such power had forced Grey Crow, who was hiding in the Palace of Bones, to flee, let alone them. I have to wait for Yu Yuan to show up. Lu Ying, who was standing in front of the meteoric star eyes, had a determined expression. She turned a deaf ear to Su Zishi's words. Even if he's dead, I have to make sure. From the barren forgotten land to the starry ash sea region, she had gradually developed trust in Yu Yuan. She believed in Yu Yuan's ability, wisdom, and future potential. But now she was not confident in her heart. The white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, the white crane, the crane rider, the giant star beasts, the blood spirit altar, so many hybrid demon lords, who could make heaven and earth collapse with a stomp of their feet, appeared in the starry ash sea region, causing a series of violent tremors. No matter how much confidence she had in Yu Yuan, it began to waver. Live. You have to live for me. Lu Ying shouted in her heart. Since she was young, this was the first time she had missed someone so much and cared so much about someone's life. Inexplicable waves of emotions, like heart demons, filled her mind and heart, making it impossible for her to calm down. Su Zishi, who was standing close to her, saw her eyes darting around, searching for someone, waiting for him to show up. She sighed inwardly and said, "This girl probably doesn't know what she's thinking." With this thought, her heart flickered, and a surprised expression appeared on her face. Also in the meteoric star eyes, at the tail of the meteor, was another beautiful woman in a green dress, the corners of her dress fluttering in the wind. Wasn't she also searching for someone? Yu Yuan, that stinky brat, and that bastard when he was young are indeed jackals of the same tribe. No wonder he admires Yu Yuan so much and protects him in every way. Without any reason, Su Zishi thought of that white-clothed figure, and suddenly became indignant. Boom! Dozens of kilometers away, it was no longer the starry ash sea region. A pitch-black cauldron suddenly jumped out of the sea like a black sun. Yu Yuan. Su Yen, who was looking around at the tail of the meteoric star eyes, was the first to see it. She cried tears of joy. Whoosh! The meteoric star eyes, which had been stationary for a long time, finally gathered star energy. Then, dazzling starlight suddenly shot out and flew towards the enormous cauldron that had flown out of the sea. Yu Yuan has already left the starry ash sea region. Ho Tianzhao, who was standing on the Nanmingli flame fan, grinned and immediately adjusted his direction. Raging flames ignited at the bottom of the fan, making the Nanmingli flame fan look like a sea of fire floating in the air. Together with the meteoric star eyes, it flew towards the fiendish demon cauldron. For some reason, when they saw the fiendish demon cauldron, everyone who was at a loss for what to do only wanted to gather as quickly as possible. Fei yelled for everyone to look for Moyen, but no one seemed to hear him. Standing in the cauldron, Yu Yuan, who had flown out of the sea, was still in a state of shock. When he saw the meteoric star eyes fly towards him as soon as he landed, he couldn't help but feel warmth in his heart, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The calamity might not necessarily have disappeared. But when he saw that the people related to him hadn't died because of it, and were still alive and well, he felt relieved. Remember, hide yourself well, and don't expose too many secrets. The fiendish demon sect and the 9 lights heavenly wheel won't bring you a fatal disaster, but you must be very, very careful about everything related to the Shunhun sect. Otherwise, you may be forced to leave Howren one day, just like He Sun. The Shunhun sect was once the undisputed ruler of this world. As the leader of the human race, even the demon race obeyed their orders. But now, the world of Howren is ruled by the 3 great sects of the heavenly origin realm, the Devil's Palace, and the Goblin Temple of the Tranquil Continent. Everything related to the Shunhun sect has been concealed, and no one knows about them. The traces they left behind have also been erased, and are not allowed to exist. In this place, if anyone learns of the secrets of the soul arts you cultivate, you may be killed without a trace. Only if you break through the restraints of Howren one day like He Sun and soar into the boundless universe will you be free. The He Sun of today may very well be you of the future. The cauldron soul's thoughts lingered in Yu Yuan's mind, repeatedly reminding him and imprinting it deeply into his mind. The pressure was so heavy that even though he was inside the fiendish demon cauldron, he felt his heart and soul grow heavy. He even regretted that he had cultivated the so-called extreme wisdom soul-tempering art in the white paper fan, and that he shouldn't have had anything to do with the Shunhun sect in the forbidden land of the fallen moon. The Shunhun sect, which the 3 great sects, the Devil's Palace, and the Goblin Temple had worked together to erase all traces of it, gradually disappeared. Outside of Howren, the Shunhun sect had risen from the ashes and was gradually gathering strength. Rumor had it that they intended to settle old scores with the 3 great sects, the Devil's Palace, and the Goblin Temple. However, the Shunhun sect still didn't have a foothold in Howren. Why bother? While sighing inwardly, Yu Yuan lowered her head and looked at the crystal-like giant beast essence ambers. Her mood improved slightly. Perhaps I can also break through the shackles of heaven and earth fearlessly like He Sun, the owner of the bronze coffin. The enormous cauldron suddenly flew out of the star-gold sea. Chapter 480. Deep in the night, the sun and moon hung high in the sky. Crackle! The Chaos Kuan, surrounded by endless divine lightning, suddenly emerged from the depths of the Stardust Sea region. The wind and clouds changed, and the world shook. 36 totem poles, which formed the heavenly capital ancient demon formation, seemed to swim at the bottom of the sea, creating a larger space for the Chaos Kuan to move about in the sea. It was still in the form of a strange fish, but it was more than 10 million times bigger. Brilliant scales covered its body, exuding a terrifying aura that could wipe out all life. His fins, which had pierced through the deep blue curtain, now looked like undulating mountains and rivers. A blazing scarlet sun and a clear white moon. They were his opened eyes. Most of its body was still at the bottom of the sea, but only a part of its body had surfaced. Its eyes were like the sun and moon hanging high in the sky. Heavens! This is a giant star beast? Yen Lu of the Devil's Palace, who was above Ho Tianzhao's Nanmingli fire fan, turned his head to look behind him and trembled in shock. The Chaos Kuan, which had surfaced part of its body, was even larger than Silver Moon City, where Yen Lu lived. However, those pieces of scale armor looked like they were several acres in size. It was unimaginably large. Anyone who looked at it from high up in the sky would be shocked by the Chaos Kuan's enormous body. If my master didn't lie to me, this giant star beast's body should be less than 1/10 of its true body. Chi Nandu of the Heavenly Evil sect had a bitter smile on his face. He looked at the primal Chaos Kuan that almost filled the entire starry ash sea region and said, "Even the smallest adult giant star beast should be as big as your demon moon empire." Yen Lu was suddenly speechless. An adult star behemoth's hoof may be even taller than a mountain in our vast heaven and earth. Ho Tianzhao licked his lips and grinned strangely. Interesting, this is really interesting. The changes in this sea region will definitely attract countless attention. He believed that it wouldn't be long before the three great sects, the Devil's Palace, and the Goblin Temple would be alerted. The Luo Dun Kuan had revealed his true form. The Devil's Palace guardian He Sun had betrayed him. He had already merged with the Tao in the Stardust Sea region and forcefully entered the Carefree realm. Such a great commotion could not be concealed from those great cultivators. There was no need for them to do anything else, and there would naturally be peak experts descending to suppress the chaotic situation in the Stardust Ocean region. The Nanmingli fire fan was flying, and Lu Ying's falling star eyes were also whistling. The fiend demon cauldron they were chasing had long since left the Stardust Sea. It was also moving as fast as lightning in a certain direction. Roar! The Chaos Kuan suddenly let out a series of long roars. It was just a single note, but when Yu Yuan heard it, he was able to decipher many profound meanings. The roar that fell into Yu Yuan's ears contained the Chaos Kuan's monstrous anger towards him. It accused him of working with He Sun to secretly harm the Chaos Kuan. Yu Yuan felt greatly wronged. He wanted to explain, but didn't know what to say. He looked towards the Stardust Sea region with rapt attention, and saw the blood altar fly away from the bottom of the sea. The turbid demon fetus sat on the blood altar like a tray. He Sun, whose yin spirit, yang spirit, and true form had merged into one, stood on the blood altar with the spirit altar above his head. He Sun, who had merged into one, was sandwiched in the middle of the blood spirit altar, facing the Chaos Kuan's incomparably huge head. The area around him seemed to be distorted by the veins of laws. Dense divine lightning swam around the Chaos Kuan's body like billions of electric snakes, and drilled into the gaps in his scales. The divine lightning was branded with the Order of the Great Tao in the Stardust Sea region. It contained all kinds of seals and checks, destroying the Chaos Kuan's flesh and blood, and eating away his vast life force. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Torrential spirit energy and devil power mixed in the depths of the sea and poured into the blood spirit altar. After passing through the blood spirit altar, it turned into a torrent of power that cleansed his yin spirit and yang spirit, and helped him advance to the freedom realm. The Chaos Kuan, which was gradually growing larger, was cut by the divine lightning from the inside, and his blood spilled into the sea. Every drop of his blood was absorbed, broken down, and digested by the Stardust Sea region as soon as it fell into the sea, and then flowed into the blood spirit altar, becoming the foundation of He Sun's strength. At this moment, the Stardust Sea region seemed to have become He Sun's unique domain, a small world that was under his control. The white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, the white crane, and the flute player and crane rider landed around the sun and moon, near the Chaos Kuan's floating head. 36 mountain-like totem poles were embedded in every corner of the Stardust Sea region, as if they were helping He Sun stabilize the sea. "It's useless," The spirit armament's soul thought quietly in Yu Yuan's heart. You did He Sun a great favor. He should indeed thank you. The Chaos Kuan refused to come out of the sunken ship at the bottom of the sea. Even though He Sun is the guardian of the Devil's Palace, he can't do anything about it. It was you who entered the sunken ship. It was your scabbard that allowed the Chaos Kuan to see that it could destroy the totem poles. You gave the Chaos Kuan hope. That's why he bewitched you and used you to break the first layer of the seal and emerge from the sunken ship. Your unexpected appearance and help to the Chaos Kuan allowed He Sun to release the blood spirit altar and form the second layer of the deep blue curtain to suppress the Chaos Kuan. He Sun has been plotting against the Chaos Kuan for a long time, but he hasn't found the right opportunity. Because of his identity as a guardian, he can't enter the sunken ship. It's impossible for him to convince the primal Chaos Kuan to come out. Everything started because of you. As the cauldron flew out with Yu Yuan, it explained the profound mysteries inside the sunken ship to him. It told him that He Sun had chosen to merge with heaven and earth in the sea of starry ash and break through to the Freedom Realm because he wanted to deal with the Chaos Kuan. He wanted to share this star behemoth that had existed for countless years with the blood spirit altar, the white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, the white crane, and the man with the flute. Such a plan might have been prepared in secret for many years, just waiting for the right opportunity. As the guardian, He Sun was bound by the rules of the Devil's Palace. He couldn't break the seal on the sunken ship with his own strength and release the Chaos Kuan. If he dared to do so, he would definitely alarm the Devil's Palace and ruin his plan. Because he came from the Devil's Palace, he couldn't win the Chaos Kuan's trust. The cunning and sinister Chaos Kuan that had lived in this sea for countless years wouldn't be tempted by him and come out of the sunken ship. It was Yu Yuan's appearance that, accidentally, entered the sunken ship at the bottom of the sea and refined the sun's refined flames with the 9 lights' heavenly wheel. Plus, the fact that the scabbard came from the Sword Sect and not the Devil's Palace or the Goblin Temple gave the Chaos Kuan a chance to escape. Later on, the blood spirit altar was unsealed, and the blood spirit altar ran amok at the bottom of the sea. He Sun added fuel to the fire and took advantage of the situation. The formation of the deep blue curtain, the sealing of the entire sea, and the wandering of the blood spirit altar. Everything that He Sun had done was for this very moment. He Sun didn't need the deep blue curtain to merge with the sea of starry ash. Naturally, he was in line with the great Tao laws of the Sea of Starry Ash. As long as the heavenly capital ancient demon formation was in the Sea of Starry Ash, it couldn't be of help to the Chaos Kuan. In this sea, He Sun was probably invincible at this stage without a nascent soul realm cultivator. Besides, he had the white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, the white crane, and the crane rider to cooperate with him. They ate the Chaos Kuan, closed the blood spirit altar, and used the Chaos Kuan's flesh and bones to make the sky fairy more solid. Only then could they break through the realm barrier and soar into the sky. I didn't want it to be like this. You asked for it. You can't blame me. Yu Yuan, who understood the inside story after the artifact soul's analysis, shook his head and laughed. You're on your own. I hope you still have some intelligence and we'll meet again in the sky. If there's a chance and you're still alive, we'll talk about who's right and who's wrong. Yu Yuan, wait for us. Above the falling star eye, Su Yen shouted for him to stop. On the Nanming Li fire fan, Yen Lu, Ho Tianzhao, and the others were also shouting for him to slow down the fiend demon cauldron so they could escape together. Everyone, go your separate ways. Standing inside the cauldron, Yu Yuan waved at Lu Ying, the others, and the Nanming Li fire fan. The world is chaotic. Everyone, go your separate ways. We'll meet again. He looked down at the giant beast essence ambers inside the cauldron and said softly, let's shake them off. The fiendish demon cauldron suddenly sped up. As a divine artifact, The cauldron's speed far exceeded that of the meteor-fall star Eye, which was lacking in star energy. It was also many times faster than the Nanmingli fire fan, and it disappeared in an instant. Lu Ying, Ho Tianzhao, and the others could only watch as the fiend demon cauldron disappeared into the distance. Yu Yuan, you bastard who deserves to be hacked to death. Why are you running? Do you think we'll eat you? Lu Ying lost her composure and shouted loudly over the sea. She was about to go mad with anger. She had been worried and afraid for so long that she had insisted on waiting for Yu Yuan to show up despite all the threats. She had never imagined that after Yu Yuan flew away from the sea, he would pause for a moment to observe the situation and then turn around and leave without saying goodbye. She had chased after him with the falling star Eye for a long time, but not only did Yu Yuan not stop, he actually ran even faster. Do you think I'm a jinx? Lu Ying stomped her feet, her eyes almost spitting fire as she gnashed her teeth. Why is he running? Standing on top of the Nanmingli flame fan, Yen Lu saw that the evil demon cauldron was nowhere to be found. With a confused look on his face, he asked, "Could it be that the star behemoth has set its eyes on us and is afraid that it will bring trouble to us? He really is a good brother. Everyone thinks of him with kindness." Ho Tianzhao snorted. That guy refined the fiend demon cauldron and obtained the giant beast's essence amber. He took all kinds of benefits and didn't want to share them with others. He was also worried that the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple would ask him for the fiend demon cauldron, so he took the opportunity to escape. Can he escape? Yen Lu was surprised. The Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple shouldn't have time to fend for themselves, right? Ho Tianzhao looked behind him. Suppressing He Sun, dealing with those guys, and stopping the blood spirit altar from ascending will take a lot of effort. They won't have the energy to care about him. P.S. Oh, this old traitor is really working hard. If you have a recommendation ticket, please give it to me. If you don't have one, please add it to your collection. Chapter 481. On an unknown island on a sunny beach, Yu Yuan lay naked on the beach with his limbs facing the sky. He squinted at the sky and sensed the soul-stirring changes in his body. The fiendish demon cauldron floated quietly in the profound gate pocket world where flesh and blood gathered. Thousands of strands spread out from the surface of the cauldron and flowed into his limbs, bones, and internal organs like meandering streams. From time to time, Yu Yuan would grimace and groan in pain. When the fiendish body-tempering art was activated, the destructive, and shattering forces, the toxins, and the impurities of the refined gold at the bottom of the sea all flew out of the fiendish demon cauldron and gathered in his veins through the secret passage that connected to it like a river. From there it spread throughout his flesh and bones. Crack! Crack, crack! Tendons and veins ruptured, and the crisp sound of bones shattering rang out unexpectedly. Every time this happened, Yu Yuan would grit his teeth. He could see the fiendish demon cauldron floating above the profound gate of qi and blood. The inner walls of the cauldron were shining with dim light. All kinds of deadly energies that the turbid devil fetus had absorbed were channeled by the evil devil body tempering art into the gaps and interlayers of the inner walls of the cauldron and the devilish patterns on the walls of the cauldron. In addition, the dazzling solid crystals were well protected inside the cauldron. The giant beast essence amber exuded a natural rosin fragrance that contained endless power of creation and miraculous power that could refine life. Let's wait a little longer. When the first round of body refinement is over, I'll use the giant beast essence amber to refine my flesh and blood. Every time he saw the giant beast essence amber that shone with divine light and had endless uses, he would feel slightly happier. Even the destruction of his flesh and blood suddenly became less painful. At this moment, he had been away from the starry ash sea for more than 10 days. With the help of the fiendish demon cauldron's high speed, he flew day and night in the first few days, trying his best to get rid of Lu Ying's meteor eyes and Ho Tianzhao's Nanming flame fan. An ordinary man was innocent, but treasuring a jade ring would arouse the envy of others. He had a deep understanding of this principle. He trusted Lu Ying, Su Yan, and Yen Lu, but these people had sects behind them. Besides, there was also Du Huang, Qi Yin, Qi Nandu, and Lin Yu chasing after them. The fiendish demon cauldron was originally a divine artifact that had been secretly placed in the Stardust Sea by the Devil's Palace. Now it had fallen into his hand. The giant beast's essence amber was a rare treasure in the world. To Lin Yu of the Blood God and those shattering profound realm cultivators, it was a divine item that was enough to make them go crazy. He didn't think that his little friendship with the Blood God would be enough to make Lin Yu and the others completely give up on their evil intentions. Moreover, it wouldn't be long before Lin Yu, Ho Tianzhao, Qi Nandu, Qi Yin, and the others would be able to get in touch with their sect elders. The drastic change in the Stardust Ocean region would surely be unable to be concealed, and it would cause numerous experts to swarm in. His various fortuitous encounters in the Stardust Ocean region couldn't be hidden from too many people. He was worried that after Lin Yu and the others leaked the news, it would cause him endless trouble. If the Devil's Palace demanded the fiendish demon cauldron from him, should he return it? If Lin Yu and the others, with the support of their sect elders, demanded a share of the giant beast's essence amber, what should he do? Because he knew that people were sinister and had all kinds of scruples, he decisively chose to escape the moment he discovered that the deep blue curtain had been completely torn and the seal was no longer there. Of course, he heard Lu Ying's call, but after thinking deeply, he pretended not to hear. The reason for this was that he was in a hurry to stabilize his shattering profound realm and didn't want to be long-winded. Secondly, he couldn't add unnecessary trouble to himself at this time. At this moment, he was lying on the beach, tempering his body with the fiendish demon body refining art and stabilizing his early profound breaker realm flesh, blood, and bones. He planned to take the opportunity to tear and shatter every inch of his bones, flesh, and internal organs, and then reforge them. Once he was confident, he would use the giant beast's essence amber to cleanse his qi and blood dantian. This step was also a feasible plan after discussing it with the cauldron's soul. There are dragons in the depths of the sea nearby. Be careful. Yu Yuan, whose flesh and blood were destroyed and the beach full of filth and impurities, heard the cauldron's soul and softly said, "Oh." His body slowly sank, and his naked body was completely covered by white sand that was as fine as grains of salt. He withdrew his aura and stopped circulating his spirit power, blood, and flesh, leaving only his thoughts to maintain a connection with the cauldron's soul. Under the sand, the fiendish demon cauldron released its special ability to wrap around him and conceal his aura. This was to prevent the souls of the dragons wandering at the bottom of the sea from becoming vigilant and sensing his existence, and then sneaking over. In addition, he was also worried that there would be cultivators who wanted to kill a dragon and use their divine art to observe the dragon from thousands of miles away. There were people with such divine abilities who could see the slightest movements in this part of the sea in a short time, just like the meteor eyes. In order to avoid being accidentally seen by others, he buried himself in the sand, not showing any trace of himself. In the past few days, he had gradually gotten used to it. He cultivated, hid, and traveled carefully. After a while, the cauldron's soul sent a message, "It's over." Yu Yuan slowly floated out from under the white sand, still looking at the sky lazily. Bathed in the scorching sunlight, he felt comfortable all over. The power of the giant beast's essence amber is too great. If you want to use it well and transform your small world of qi and blood, you have to supplement it with special pills. The cauldron's soul hesitated and brought up the old matter again. "You said you have a way. What is it?" The life energy contained in the primal chaos Kuan's flesh aura essence was vast and boundless. With Yu Yuan's current strength, it was quite dangerous to refine it safely into the profound gate in his middle dantian. If he could supplement it with special pills, he would be able to divide the life energy contained in each piece of the giant beast's essence amber into wisps and slowly merge them into his small world of qi and blood in batches. That would be a good plan. When the cauldron's soul told him this, it was very worried, but he was calm and only said that he would solve it. For some reason, it was from the Shunhun sect. Although it had become the soul of the fiendish demon cauldron, it still had some knowledge. It felt that with Yu Yuan's current cultivation base, and the fact that he didn't belong to any sect, it would be really difficult for him to make the best use of the giant beast's essence amber. However, Yu Yuan seemed to be very confident and didn't care at all. When we arrive at the Split Yen Islands, I'll think of a way to get some pills. Yu Yuan smiled and said to the cauldron's soul, "Don't worry. Just wait here for 2 more days. You can go and refine that tormented soul. I don't need you to be on guard all the time. I need you to keep an eye on the surroundings." Inside the fiendish demon cauldron, the strange tormented soul transformed from the heavenly demon was firmly restrained. This tormented soul was very strange. The cauldron's soul had told Yu Yuan more than once to refine this tormented soul as soon as possible, erase its self-awareness, and turn it into a fiendish demon that was completely under the control of the cauldron's soul. The tormented soul transformed from the heavenly demon would never know that the soul of the fiendish demon cauldron still existed in the world. The tormented soul, which was growing stronger by the day at the bottom of the sea, originally wanted to sneak into the fiendish demon cauldron and refine it to become the cornerstone of its advancement. Unfortunately, the cauldron's soul was a step ahead. It hid itself and waited for the tormented soul to come to it. In the end, the fiendish demon cauldron devoured the tormented soul and temporarily suppressed it inside the cauldron. According to the cauldron's soul, this tormented soul was very strange and powerful. The cauldron's soul would also benefit from the process of refining this tormented soul and strengthen itself. The only downside was that it was too weak. When it focused on refining the tormented soul, it couldn't pay attention to Yu Yuan and communicate with Yu Yuan. Moreover, when Yu Yuan was fighting enemies, he couldn't summon the fiendish demon cauldron. He could only continue to refine his body and cultivate with the fiendish body, refining incantation. The Lai Yen Islands? The cauldron's soul was surprised. Are you going to the Lai Yen Islands to buy pills and spirit herbs from the medicine god sect? Yu Yuan smiled and said, "Don't worry about it. I have a plan." No wonder you kept giving me directions, the cauldron's soul thought to itself. But do you still need me to take you to the Lai Yen Islands? If I have to focus on refining that thing, I won't be able to take you to the Lai Yen Islands. Also, I need to get there as soon as possible. I don't need you to show me the way, Yu Yuan explained. When? The cauldron's soul asked. Soon. Let's wait a little longer. Okay. Time flowed like water. Just as Yu Yuan lay on the beach for a few more days, the cauldron's soul was alarmed again. A huge ship is approaching. Yu Yuan, who had been lying on the beach lazily, sprang to his feet and said with a big smile, "The ship I've been waiting for is here. You don't need to take care of me anymore. Just stay in my dantian and refine that tormented soul. I won't summon you for a while, and I won't need the fiendish demon cauldron anymore." The cauldron's soul was skeptical, but still chose to believe him. About 2 hours later, a giant ship that was 5 stories tall and looked like a small mountain moving in the middle of the sea slowly approached them. On the huge ship, a flag could be seen fluttering in the wind. On the flag, there was a 7-colored staircase that extended step by step into the boundless clouds and mist. The 7-colored staircase seemed to lead to the depths of the clouds and to the heavens. It was the flag of the Tongtian Trading Company. Their headquarters were located in the southern part of the tranquil continent. They were connected by a complex network of trade routes, and the Skyspan Trading Company was spread across 3 continents. They were one of the most unique forces in the vast world. The Tongtian Trading Company had dealings with the 3 great sects of the Tianyuan continent, the 7 great sects, the Devil's Palace, the Goblin Temple, and the great empires of the Qianxian continent. It could be said that the Tongtian Trading Company had connections with countless sects, empires, and families of the 3 continents. Almost all of the powerful sects gave face to the Tongtian Trading Company and wouldn't completely become enemies with the Tongtian Trading Company. In the civil wars between the Tranquil Continent and the Tianyuan continent, the Tongtian Trading Company had always maintained a neutral position. Yu Yuan had calculated the time and knew that the Tongtian Trading Company's ship would pass through this region of the sea and head for the Liyan Islands. Therefore, he had been waiting here for a long time. Hey! 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 Yu Yuan, who was casually wrapped in a gray robe on the white beach, waved his hand and called out loudly. He knew that there must be cultivators on the Tongtian Trading Company's ship that had noticed him a long time ago. This ship, which was full of resources heading for the Liyan Islands, wouldn't stop because of him. It was very likely that the people on the ship had come to take a look because of his call. Sure enough, it was as expected. An orange-yellow figure flew out from the giant ship and landed on the island in the blink of an eye. Standing in front of him, he looked at him coldly and said, "Kid, where did you come from? Where did you go? Why are you the only one left?" A series of questions were asked by a middle-aged woman dressed in orange clothes. "My name is Li Qi, and I'm from the Demon Moon Empire. I was planning to go to the Liyan Islands with the elders of my clan. On the way, we were attacked by the dragon attendants of the Dragon Concealment Lake. The elders of my clan fought with their lives, so I and the other young clansmen fled and got separated." Yu Yuan lowered his head and sighed softly with the excuse he had prepared long ago. "Now that the dynasty has changed, we collateral members of the Li clan have also been affected." Li Qi, the Demon Moon Empire. The woman, who was dressed in bright clothes and had a white jade pendant around her neck, muttered a few words. Then, as if she had understood something, she nodded and said, "Those guys from the Dragon Concealment Lake love to beat up people who have fallen into the water. They have always been ruthless to those who have lost the support of their clans and sections." With a bitter expression, Yu Yuan said, "I know the rules of the Tongtian Trading Company." With these words, he took out a few spirit stones from his mustard seed bracelet and handed them to the woman. "This is the fare for the ship to the Liyan Islands. A total of 80 spirit stones." He secretly calculated that it should be enough. A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. The Li clan is indeed the royal clan of the Silver Moon Empire. Even a collateral member can have a mustard seed bracelet. You're quite brave. The woman stretched out her hand and pulled the spirit stones into her sleeve. "You're lucky that you met the Tongtian Trading Company. If it were someone else who didn't follow the rules, you would already be dead." Yu Yuan nodded and said honestly, "I only dared to show the mustard seed bracelet because I saw the Tongtian Trading Company's flag." "You're smart." The woman couldn't help but look at him. "The destruction of the Li clan in the Silver Moon Empire won't affect your dealings with the Tongtian Trading Company. Our reputation is known throughout the world. If you give us the spirit stones, we'll send you safely to the Liyan Islands. However, we don't care if you can survive once you reach the Liyan Islands." Yu Yuan said, "I understand. Come with me." Chapter 482. The Tongtian Trading Company's sea cruise ship was 300 meters long and 30 meters high. Its hull was sky blue in color. Every sea cruise ship had been specially built for the Tongtian Trading Company by the Tool sect to carry all kinds of goods and travel between the Tianyuan continent, the Tranquil continent, and the Qianxian continent. The cabins of the sea cruise ship were filled with all kinds of materials, such as gems, various kinds of refined iron, medicinal herbs, and spell formations. The ship was divided into 5 floors. Each floor had rooms for people to rest and cultivate in. The lowest floor had 96 rooms. Non-members of the Tongtian Trading Company had to pay 1 spirit stone a day to stay in. The second floor had 66 rooms. Outsiders had to pay 10 spirit stones a day. The third floor had 36 rooms. Outsiders had to pay 100 spirit stones a day to stay in. The fourth floor had 12 rooms. Outsiders had to pay 1,000 spirit stones a day to stay in. From the first floor to the fourth floor, the spirit stones were 10 times more expensive. The fifth floor had 6 rooms, which were only for members of the Tongtian Trading Company. Outsiders wouldn't be allowed to stay even if they had to pay tens of thousands of spirit stones a day. The rooms on the lowest floor had the simplest and crudest decorations. There was only 1 bed and 1 table. The rooms were small, so one could only sleep and cultivate by leaning against the wooden wall. Next door, there were people snoring and talking. They could hear everything clearly and influence each other. From the second floor onward, the soundproofing was improved. Not only were the rooms large, but there were also cabinets, beds, and tables. The rooms on the third floor were engraved with spell formations that could gather spiritual power. As long as one filled them with spirit stones, the room would become a unique cultivation room. The room was filled with spiritual qi, which was helpful for breathing and cultivating. On the fourth floor, the rooms had strange spell formations that could calm the mind and calm the mind, allowing cultivators to calm their souls when they sat down. As for the fifth floor, which wasn't open to the public, few people knew how it was arranged. The Tongtian Trading Company didn't publicize it. Yu Yuan paid 80 spirit stones and was taken to the sea cruise ship by the woman named Jiang Yurong. As soon as he landed on the deck, he saw many people looking at him. The sea cruise ship had a total of 5 floors. Starting from the bottom floor, every room had to be paid a corresponding amount of spirit stones. The only exception was the deck. As long as one paid the fare, they could find a place to stay. These people were at the bottom of the cultivators' hierarchy. They were the poorest and most destitute. They were unwilling to pay the spirit stones to enter the house, so they were scattered on the deck. Yu Yuan glanced around and saw more than a dozen gazes curiously looking at him. The cultivations of those people were mostly at the Spirit Nurture realm and Golden Hall realm, and many of them weren't young and already had no hope of stepping into the Shattering Profound realm. Between the Qianxian continent and the Tranquil continent, there was a vast sea with countless islands. There were also scattered cultivators who cultivated on those islands, but most of them did not amount to much. Yu Yuan only took a glance at them and saw that their skin was dark. He knew that they had been exposed to the wind and sun for a long time. They were most likely cultivators on the island. A few of them were visibly moved when they saw the mustard seed bracelet on Ye Tian's wrist. Mustard bracelets were expensive to begin with. Those who were able to wear them usually came from a good background or were talented in cultivation. They had long been chosen by the major sections. Suddenly, a young man who didn't seem to be at a high cultivation level had boarded the ship halfway and was wearing a mustard bracelet. This naturally attracted some attention. Yu Yuan smiled. He also noticed that a few gazes were looking at him with ill intentions. Creak. Some of the windows on the first and second floors were pushed open. One after another, gazes of surprise and curiosity were cast over. The cultivators on the first floor were not much higher than those on the deck. After all, they only had to pay 1 spirit stone a day. Most people could afford it. However, it was different on the second floor. From the opened windows, one could see that the eyes of those on the second floor were bright. Almost all of them were at the Shattering Profound realm, and there were even some who had reached the Nuance realm. Mustard bracelet, someone chuckled meaningfully. What a lucky fat sheep. Fortunately, they'd run into a cruise ship and the Skyspan Trading Company. Heh. Heh heh. A cold glint flashed in his vicious eyes as he looked through the open windows on the second floor. Then, with a bang, the windows were slammed shut. The people inside seemed to be angry. They were angry that they were on the Tongtian Trading Company's sea cruise ship and not elsewhere. They were angry that they had met a fat sheep like Yu Yuan. The vast sea hid even more cruelty and bloodshed. In the depths of unknown islands, there were mostly unidentifiable corpses. Weaklings who wandered about in the sea were easily targeted and would die mysteriously. Fortunately, this sea cruise ship was flying the Tongtian Trading Company's flag and was guarded by a major cultivator. Otherwise, it would have been targeted by extremely vicious people and would have been slaughtered and looted. Yu Yuan chuckled. Fat sheep. Jiang Yurong's face was cold. Seeing that the windows were gradually closing, she said, "Don't worry. They can only talk." On the Tongtian Trading Company's sea cruise ship, even if I lent them several guts, they wouldn't dare to mess around. She paused for a moment and said, "Since you know the rules, you can choose at will. You should know the price. There are currently empty rooms on the first, second, and third floors. There are a total of 12 rooms on the fourth floor, but they are all full. We can't arrange anything for the time being." She saw that Yu Yuan was wearing a mustard bracelet. She believed that this Li clan member who had escaped from the newly born Devil Moon Empire should be quite rich. Since you can wear a mustard bracelet, you can forget about the first floor. It's not suitable for you. The space is too narrow. Yu Yuan smiled. Just as he was about to answer, his mind slightly moved, and he suddenly looked at the fourth floor. On the fourth floor, a window had been opened at an unknown time, and a fat old man suddenly appeared. Golden copper coins were hanging from his outer robes. The man looked at him with a smile, his small eyes filled with surprise. Yu Yuan was stunned for a moment and then lowered his head, thinking, "What a coincidence." "You know him?" Jiang Yurong asked in surprise. "I don't know him, but I've heard people talk about him." Shaking his head, Yu Yuan said, "I've heard people talk about his appearance and characteristics. He's very easy to recognize, so I can distinguish him." "Yes, I think you shouldn't know him either." Jiang Yurong didn't mind. "If you knew him, you wouldn't have fallen into such a situation. Alright, have you thought about it?" The second floor. Yu Yuan began to take out spirit stones from the mustard bracelet with some heartache. "I'll stay for half a month first." 150 spirit stones were handed to Jiang Yurong. She then led the way and brought Yu Yuan to the second floor of the sea cruise ship, to choose a room to stay in. There were a total of 12 rooms on the fourth floor, and the daily payment was 1,000 spirit stones. At this moment, in a room with gorgeous decorations, wooden walls carved with dragons and phoenixes, and embedded with pearls and precious stones, a soothing sandalwood smoke lingered. The chubby old copper Qian gently closed the window with a strange expression. In the spacious hall, beside the white jade round table, there were 2 plump and beautiful women wearing thin clothes. Half of their breasts were exposed. They looked at him with blurred eyes. On the white jade round table, there was fine wine, sparkling fruits, and pastries that contained spiritual energy. The 2 beautiful women who revealed their white and tender skin were twins. One had an elegant temperament, the other was enchanting and sexy. Unexpectedly, they were both at the shattering profound realm. Seeing old Copper turn around, the 2 stood up at the same time to welcome him. One on the left and one on the right, they supported old Copper's arm and brought him back to the table. One held a wine cup, and the other picked up a string of sparkling fruit. They smiled sweetly and served him wholeheartedly. Old Copper chewed the fruit in his mouth, and drank the sweet fruit wine in the silver goblet in one gulp. He suddenly said, "You 2 sisters, go to the second floor and find the room of the person who just boarded the ship. If one of you can sleep with him for a night, I guarantee that both of you will successfully enter the refinement realm." The two women were stunned as if they couldn't believe that a meat pie would suddenly fall from the sky. The two sisters had served Old Copper for a long time and were already prepared to sacrifice themselves in exchange for a breakthrough. They were very willing and were only waiting for Old Copper to pamper them. But this old devil only drank wine and ate delicacies, chatting with them and using them to relieve his boredom. In front of the old devil, although he took advantage of them with his mouth, he didn't use his true strength and didn't make any promises lightly. This made the two sisters secretly anxious. They couldn't see through the old devil's thoughts and didn't know what he was thinking. They were just about to give up. They didn't expect that the situation would take a turn and Old Copper would suddenly give such a strange suggestion. After a long while, the enchanting sister was the first to react. She excitedly said, "Senior, are you serious?" "Pa." Old Chien Tong slapped her plump buttocks heavily and grinned. "You want to question my credibility? We don't dare, we don't dare." The charming and coquettish sister rubbed her plump buttocks while moving closer to Old Copper. She blew a breath of fragrance on his face and said, "What if we sisters sleep with him? Each of you will add one more item. It will be at least a spirit grade 5th grade item. I can guarantee that it will definitely be suitable for you and not the kind to fool around with." Old Copper pinched his sister's cheek and said with a smile, "I guess that kid likes someone like you." There were a total of 12 rooms on the 4th floor. Each room had an array that isolated sound and soul remembrance. He wasn't worried that others could hear him. With his realm and the rules of the Tongtian Trading Company, no one would be so abrupt. Even the seemingly shy sister's interest was aroused by Old Copper's words. Her expression was greatly uplifted. "I will give you 3 days. Once it's done, come and tell me." Old Copper waved his hand and ordered them to leave. "Be careful. Don't let the Tongtian Trading Company know that I am the one who instigated you." The two women left excitedly. As soon as they left, the smile on Old Copper's face instantly disappeared. Qian Laoqian's eyebrows furrowed as he slowly crushed the wine jugs and fruit platters into a pile of mud. Then, he began to recall the times he had spent with Yu Yuan in the abandoned land. In just a few months, he went from the Golden Hall realm to the Shattering Profound realm. Looking at his appearance, physique, and foundation of his realm, it is extremely solid. What is even more surprising is that this guy's aura has undergone a subtle change. Even I can't see through it. Why would he appear here? Moreover, he's alone? Could the earth-shaking upheaval in the starry Ash Sea region have something to do with him? Chapter 483. The room was simple and crude, but it was clean. Sitting on the bed with his back against the wooden wall, Yu Yuan held his breath and observed his body. Just as the cauldron's soul had said, the fiendish demon cauldron had become abnormally quiet in his blood aura world. Only by using the fiendish demon body tempering art would the various energies within the cauldron pour out and destroy his flesh, blood, tendons, and bones in an unstoppable manner. He wasn't in a hurry to cultivate. As he observed the world within the cauldron, he pondered. After he left the Starash Ocean region, he really wanted to know what had happened in that world after he escaped. He wanted to know if He Sun had entered the Freedom Realm, if he had killed the Chaos Kuan, if he had controlled the Blood Spirit Altar, and if he had successfully broken through the realm barrier of the Howran Realm with the white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, the White Crane, and the man riding the crane. Logically speaking, the Tongtian Trading Company was well informed. If he asked Jiang Yurong, he might be able to learn a thing or two. However, the Tongtian Trading Company's information wasn't free. If he took the initiative to ask about the starry Ash Sea, Jiang Yurong might be suspicious, so he gave up on the idea. While he was meditating on the 2nd floor, he could vaguely feel that there was a giant invisible net covering the sea cruise ship. The giant net seemed to fall from the 5th floor, covering every floor below. It was as if the soul awareness and awareness of every room could come into contact with the net and be detected by the Tongtian Trading Company. As long as the soul awareness and awareness of one's room didn't leave, they wouldn't come into contact with the net. The Tongtian Trading Company has made such a meticulous arrangement. Because of the existence of the giant net, all the outsiders on the sea cruise ship won't mess around with each other. By doing so, they can prevent subtle realm and spirit realm cultivators from roaming around and disturbing others with their soul awareness and awareness. Yu Yuan nodded inwardly. He knew that the Tongtian Trading Company's arrangement could effectively prevent trouble. Otherwise, gods would have been able to kill those with low cultivation bases with vicious soul magics on the first and second floors without anyone noticing. Old Xian Tong is actually on this ship heading to the Lai Yen archipelago. He frowned slightly, thinking that with Old Tong's cultivation and the Jade Tower he had refined, wouldn't it be more comfortable to ride his Jade Tower to the Lai Yen archipelago than on the sea cruise? Unless, with a jolt of his mind, he thought of another saying. It was said that many cultivators with powerful realms were willing to pay spirit stones to ride the Tongtian Trading Company's sea cruise, because they valued the reputation of the Tongtian Trading Company. Anyone who boarded the ship would be protected by the Tongtian Trading Company. They wouldn't have to worry about being attacked by their enemies while traveling in the sea. Old Copper Chien controlled the Jade Tower and flew across the sea. If he accidentally encountered high-level dragons, or the great cultivators of the Devil Palace, the Demon Palace, the Crimson Fiend sect, or the Blood Divine sect, he would most likely be killed. After all, Old Tong didn't have the backing of a sect. He was just a rogue cultivator. The dragon attendants of the Hidden Dragon Lake and some fierce cultivators in the deep sea wouldn't be polite if they thought they could kill him. Paying some spirit stones to ride the Tongtian Trading Company's sea cruise could effectively avoid this kind of trouble. There were countless people who dared to kill Old Tong, but there were very few who dared to provoke the Tongtian Trading Company. He was safe on the sea cruise, and could still cultivate. He didn't have to worry about being targeted by people with bad intentions. When we arrive at the Lai Yen archipelago and get off the sea cruise, I'll have to be careful. The reason why he was heading there was because there was a very small island among the many scattered islands in the Lai Yen archipelago. It was a backup plan that he had specially prepared for himself in his previous life. That island had a secret alchemy room that belonged to him. It had all kinds of alchemy tools. Before he decided to reincarnate, he had made a lot of preparations. The island in the Lai Yen archipelago was one of them. When he arrived at the Lai Yen archipelago and stepped onto that small island with a secret method, he would have the ability to refine an auxiliary elixir to integrate the giant beast's essence amber into the small world of qi and blood step by step. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, there was a soft knock on the door. Yu Yuan, who was deep in thought, was suddenly awakened. He was surprised and thought to himself, could it be Old Tong? He only knew Old Tong on the entire sea cruise. When he had just arrived under Jiang Yurong's lead, someone had come to find him. He felt that it was most likely Old Tong. There was no need to worry about fighting in the sea cruise. He didn't think much about it. He jumped off the bed and opened the locked wooden door. Who are you? Outside the door stood a gray-robed old man with a goatee and shifty eyes. The old man bent his body and said with a fake smile, "Little brother, where are you from? Are you going to the Lai Yen archipelago? My name is Feng Zhong. I'm in the business of selling information. I know all kinds of explosive events in the Qian continent, the sect infighting in the Tranquil continent, and the movements of the Dragon clan in the surrounding seas." Wind Singer? Yu Yuan asked curiously. The old man who called himself Feng Zhong had a strange look in his eyes. "Little brother, have you heard of this ancient business?" Wind Singer, who sold information, walked between heaven and earth, and had his own unique way of survival. Many wind singers exchanged information with each other. After confirming each other's authenticity, they sold the information to those who needed it in exchange for spirit stones. Most wind singers didn't announce their identity, so there weren't many people who could say wind singer. It's true. Yu Yuan smiled and turned sideways to signal the old man to come in. Then he said, Wind singer's eyes have always been sharp. You came here because you saw this mustard seed bracelet? Li Qi said that he came from the Demon Moon Empire and that he was a member of the Li family. He was attacked by the Dragon Concealment Lake on the way and was separated from his family. After Feng Zhong entered, he revealed Yu Yuan's false identity. I bought this information from Jiang Yurong for 3 spirit stones. I believe that you can earn it back. I want to know about the Starash Sea region. Yu Yuan went straight to the point. Feng Zhong was even more surprised. The Starash Sea region? Yu Yuan nodded. The Starash Sea region is a vast sea between the Qian continent and the northern part of the Tranquil continent. It's not the same sea line as the direction you came from. The Lai Yen archipelago is very far from the southern part of the Tranquil continent. If you went to the Lai Yen archipelago, it should be very far from the Starash Sea region. Feng Zhong said. Before Yu Yuan could explain, Feng Zhong chuckled. Don't blame me, don't blame me. We're used to verifying the authenticity of information. So, sorry. In an instant, he concluded that the information he just bought from Jiang Yurong was Yu Yuan's nonsense. The boy in front of him called himself Li Qi, and misled Jiang Yurong into saying that he was from a branch family of the Li family. He probably wasn't telling the truth. Of course, Jiang Yurong didn't care if it was true or false. The Tongtian Trading Company only recognized spirit stones, not the other party's background. I want to know about the Starash Sea region. Yu Yuan repeated. There is information, but we Wind Singer can't verify it for now. Feng Zhong said frankly. 100 spirit stones. Are you willing to hear it? He looked at Yu Yuan's mustard seed bracelet. Yu Yuan obediently handed over the spirit stones. Feng Zhong accepted the spirit stones with a smile and threw them into his mustard seed bracelet. Then, he said, He Sun, the guardian of the Devil's Palace, betrayed the Devil's Palace and released a blood spirit altar, causing the deaths of many trial takers and the elders who led them. Grey Crow, the guardian of the Goblin Temple, escaped with a palace made of bones. He Sun broke through to the Freedom Realm in the Starash Sea region and rushed into outer space together with the Blood Spirit Altar. Yu Yuan's expression suddenly changed. He Sun had actually succeeded. He had really controlled the Blood Spirit Altar and escaped into the galaxy beyond the heavens. That's all? Yu Yuan said. The other information is too fake. You might not believe it even if I told you. Let's just forget about it. Feng Zhong smiled. Tell me everything. Yu Yuan urged. All right, but don't take the rest of the information seriously. Just listen to it and don't mind it. Feng Zhong paused for a while before continuing. It's said that there's a star behemoth suppressed on an island in the Starash Sea region. That star behemoth also broke free and fought He Sun. It's also said that He Sun was able to escape into outer space because there was a powerful existence in the outer realms that cooperated with him. The nascent divinity Grand Cultivators guarding the Howran realm happened to be attacked by heavenly devils and had no time to pay attention to the soaring blood spirit altar. That allowed He Sun to escape. It's also said that the Grand Cultivators of the Devil's Palace, the Goblin Temple, and the 3 great sects were blocked with their soul awareness. By the time they sensed that something was wrong, He Sun had already left. There's also another story. Feng Zhong talked endlessly about a pile of information about the Starash region, and most of it was false information that was based on groundless rumors. Knock. Knock knock. Someone knocked on the door again. Yu Yuan raised his eyebrows slightly and motioned for Feng Zhong to stop. He said, Where do you live? Where can I find you if I want to ask for information? The 9th room on the 3rd floor. Feng Zhong was very tactful. Seeing that Yu Yuan didn't ask any more questions, he took the initiative to walk out. After opening the door for Yu Yuan, he went blank for a moment. Then, he turned around and smiled at Yu Yuan. Little brother, you have good luck with women. Then, he left. Author's note: Ahem, I drank too much last night. That's all for today. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Chapter 484. Just as Yu Yuan was stunned, he saw a pair of twin sisters step into the room side by side. The dark room suddenly lit up. Take your time, little brother. If you have any other questions, remember to come to me. Feng Zhong laughed. After the pair of sisters entered, he even took the initiative to close the door. He shook his head as he walked and said, How enviable! There was only one window that was not open. The room, which was not very bright, suddenly lit up because of the sisters who suddenly broke in. In addition to the beautiful jade and gemstone accessories on their bodies, they also had the same beautiful appearance. The two girls looked the same and their figures were not much different. Only the charm of their eyes could be distinguished at a glance. One of the women had a fiery look in her eyes. She wore a rose-red dress with a very low neckline, revealing a large area of snow-white breasts. After she came in, she looked at Yu Yuan from head to toe with a smile. Her posture did not look like a guest who accidentally broke in, but more like the host. The other girl's eyes were full of shyness. She wore a white dress and did not dare to look at people directly. Yu Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly. He was not in a hurry to speak. With a smile on his lips, he also looked at the pair of sisters who suddenly appeared. Both of them were in the breaking profound realm. In his opinion, their chi and blood were not vigorous. Their realm should not be outstanding. The accessories on their bodies were beautiful jade and gems. They looked sparkling and translucent, sparkling with light. In fact, there was no spirit chi lingering inside. It was just a small ornament used by mortal women. It was not a priceless spirit weapon that had many hidden uses. Sisters, are you looking for me? After a while, Yu Yuan twitched the corner of his mouth and asked casually. He was not worried about a sudden fight on the sea boat. In addition, the two girls' realms were not high, so he was naturally more relaxed. He was not worried about any accidents at all. Just in the breaking profound realm, only a mustard seed bracelet is worth looking at, Sister Zhang Man muttered in her heart. She felt that Qian Laoqian must have suddenly had a bad taste, so he made such an arrangement. She did not think that Qian Laoqian, that old devil, would know someone like Yu Yuan who had a low cultivation level and did not seem to have much background. I am Zhang Man, this is my sister Zhang Miao. She pointed at the shy woman, who didn't dare to look Yu Yuan in the eye, and said, Well, we've used up most of our spirit stones, and we don't want to be sized up by those disgusting eyes on the deck. You don't look like a bad person. Can you let us stay in your house for a while? When we arrive at the Split Yen Islands, we'll pay you half of the spiritual stones. What do you think? His shy little sister finally raised her head and looked at him expectantly. Yu Yuan crossed his arms and stood at the edge of the bed with a strange expression. The rooms on the sea cruise ship would not prevent more than one person from entering. No matter how many people entered, the spirit stones paid would be fixed and would not change. However, cultivators who traveled the world usually did not want to stay in the same room unless they were from the same sect or family. Cultivators from the same sect or family also did not like to have others by their side when they were cultivating, unless they were Taoist companions who cultivated together. The sisters who called themselves Zhang Man and Zhang Miao had outstanding appearances. Judging from the accessories on their bodies, they were indeed a little shabby. It was possible that they could not afford the expensive spirit stones. However, The two girls suddenly came and asked to stay in the same room with him. This was a little thought-provoking. The journey was long and he had nothing to do. After thinking for a while, he smiled brightly and agreed. He said, "The bed is mine. You can do whatever you want. When we arrive at the Split Yen Islands, forget about the spirit stones. You just need to do me a small favor." "What favor?" Zhang Man was very cautious. "Our cultivation levels are low. We can't do things like fighting and killing. It's really a small favor." Yu Yuan smiled. "If we don't agree, can we use spirit stones to offset it?" Zhang Man asked again. Yu Yuan nodded. "Yes. That's good." Zhang Man let out a sigh of relief. Then, she turned around and locked the door from the inside. Patting her towering chest, she said with a relieved expression, "I knew it. This little brother is a kind person. Finally, we have a place to stay. We don't have to make do with the deck anymore." Zhang Miao smiled faintly. She found a corner and took out a clean cushion from her leather pouch. Then, she threw it on the floor and sat down. She lowered her head and said nothing. The thin spiritual aura that was everywhere quietly surged and gathered in her dantian. She sat down and meditated in silence. She did not respond to her sister's words. Yu Yuan asked curiously, "When I just got on the ship, I didn't see you sisters on the deck. Where did you come from?" "Let's not talk about it. We were kicked out by a bad guy," Zhang Man said with a bitter expression. "When you came up, we were begging someone else, but he didn't agree. We happened to be at the window and saw you get on the ship. When we heard that you chose the second floor, we paid the spirit stones without hesitation and came to try our luck." Yu Yuan did not ask any more questions. He nodded and said, "You sisters can do whatever you want." With these words, he sat down on the edge of the bed and leaned against the wooden wall like he had before Feng Zhong came. He was not in a hurry to cultivate. Instead, he pondered what Feng Zhong had just said. Most of the information Feng Zhong, the Wind Whisperer, had given him about the Stardust Sea was false. However, He Sun's success in breaking through to the Freedom Realm and controlling the Blood Spirit Altar to break through the realm barrier of the Howren Heaven and Earth and rush into the Starry River was beyond his expectations. The three great sects, the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple, had peak experts overseeing the Howren Heaven and Earth all year round. He Sun had caused such a big commotion by successfully completing his Tao integration in the Stardust Sea and causing the Chaos Kuan to reveal its true form as a star behemoth. Yet, he had still managed to escape? Could it be that the Freedom Realm and Nascent Divinity Realm cultivators from the five great sects had just watched? A force from the outside working with He Sun. Could it be the Shenhun sect? According to the Cauldron Soul, the incantations He Sun used were the legacies of the Shenhun sect. However, the Shenhun sect, which had disappeared from the Howren Heaven and Earth, has risen from the ashes in the Starry River and is rapidly growing stronger. Did the people of the Shenhun sect help him and help him escape safely? In other words, He Sun encountered powerful experts from the Shenhun sect during his first trial in the Starry River as a young spirit. He was bewitched by the Shenhun sect and secretly surrendered to them. Then, under the guidance of the Shenhun sect, he became the guardian of the Devil's Palace in the Stardust Sea and plotted against the Blood Spirit Altar and the Chaos Kuan? Does the white-robed ghost, Lady Peach, and the White Crane have anything to do with the Shenhun sect? If the Shenhun sect was able to help He Sun escape from the Howren Heaven and Earth in the Starry River, then the three great sects, the Devil's Palace, and the Goblin Temple couldn't do anything about it. Then, the strength that the Shenhun sect has accumulated in the Starry River must be extraordinary. A series of thoughts flashed through Yu Yuan's mind like lightning. "What's your name, my kind brother? Where are you from?" Zhang Man sat down leisurely at the small table in the center of the room. She stared at him for a while and finally couldn't help but ask, "Are you going to the Lei Yen Islands too? Where is it? Do you know anyone there?" Which island are you going to? Yu Yuan's thoughts were disrupted, and he was slightly displeased. I'm from the Demon Moon Empire. My name is Li Qi. As he said this, he looked as if they hadn't reached an agreement. He hoped that Zhang Man would be tactful and stop asking questions. Demon Moon Empire, Li. Zhang Man's expression changed slightly. The Li family? Then, do you know General Li Yuchan and Li Yu? Yu Yuan's eyes lit up. No way. You're a member of the Li family? Zhang Man suddenly became interested and seemed very excited. General Li is my benefactor. She reached out and pointed at Zhang Miao. My sister likes Li Yu very much. Zhang Miao, who was sitting quietly in the corner, opened her eyes because of the conversation between the two. Her eyes seemed to be filled with sadness and helplessness. She said softly, Sister, don't talk nonsense. I'm not worthy of him. You weren't able to in the past. Zhang Man opened her mouth. Now is different. The Li family has fallen and was destroyed in the Demon Moon Empire. They are no longer the royal family. What's there to be unworthy of? Also, he's the same as us. He fled to the Leiyan Islands with General Li. When we reach the Leiyan Islands we might be able to meet them. Zhang Miao sighed faintly. Our lowly status is not worthy of them. Yu Yuan was stunned. He thought, what a coincidence. P.S. Today's chapter is about stiff neck. My neck hurts so much that I can't move. I went to do traction early in the morning. Chapter 485. After helping Li Yuchan and Li Yu escape from the Huang family in Dark Moon City, he went straight to the city lord's mansion. He did not care about what happened after that. After that, he heard that Li Yuchan and Li Yu had quietly left Dark Moon City on the same day and disappeared without a trace. As the Silver Moon Empire changed its name to the Demon Moon Empire, the Yen family replaced the Li family and became the royal family of the new empire. Li Yuchan and Li Yu were the core of the Li family. It was wise for them to leave as soon as possible under this intense shock. However, he did not expect that Li Yuchan and Li Yu would coincidentally go to the Rift Yen Islands as well. Moreover, from what Zhang Man and Zhang Miao said, the two of them should have already arrived at the Rift Yen Islands and settled down on that strange island before him. Li Yuchan was Zhang Man's benefactor? Zhang Miao loved Li Yu? Yu Yuan touched his chin with a playful look in his eyes. He pondered how much of the sister's words were true and how much was false. There was one thing he could confirm. They might really know each other or have seen Li Yuchan and Li Yu before. I am indeed from the Li family. However, I am different from them. I am only a collateral disciple of the Yu family. Yu Yuan sighed. In the current Demon Moon Empire, anyone with the surname Li will be implicated. If not for being forced, who would want to leave their home and go to the dangerous Rift Yen Islands to make a living? Collateral family, Zhang Man's eyes rippled. When she looked at Yu Yuan again, there was a hint of disdain in her eyes as she said, the Li clan is indeed rich and imposing. Even a branch family member like you can wear a bracelet at such a young age. I only have one thing on me that's valuable. Yu Yuan smiled bitterly and explained, an elder in the family secretly handed this bracelet to me when the Dragon Concealment Lake cultivators attacked. Those villains at the Dragon Concealment Lake probably saw that I was young and my realm was not high, so they did not notice me. He lowered his head slightly, as if recalling that soul-stirring experience, and feeling sad. Sure enough, he's not a powerful figure. The old devil is deliberately humiliating us sisters. Zhang Man cursed in her heart and despised the handsome youngster in front of her even more. She thought in self-pity, should she really do as the old devil had said and use a secret technique to seduce the youngster in front of her? If Yu Yuan had a significant background, she wouldn't mind trading her body for a smooth future in order to break into the subtle realm. She had seen far too many female cultivators like her and her sister. They didn't have a powerful backer, but they relied on their good looks to climb up a large tree and escape their predicament, obtaining a decent future. In her eyes, Old Tong's money was a lush tree that could provide shade for her and her sister. His realm was high enough, he was vicious and merciless, and his family background was solid. If they could gain Old Tong's favor and enter his tent, the two sisters could be considered to have a good home. However, Old Tong was uninterested in them and didn't give them a clear guarantee at all. He only used them as a pastime to relieve boredom on the road. Before coming to Yu Yuan's place, she thought that if Yu Yuan was a disciple of the heavenly evil sect, Juling School, or other sects with extraordinary cultivation potential and the support of a famous teacher, the two sisters could consider themselves as maids, which could be another way out. However, if he was just a branch disciple of the Li family who had fallen in the Demon Moon Empire and only had a mustard seed bracelet, the Li family couldn't even protect themselves and had to go to the Liyan Islands to avoid disaster. Li Qi was only at the early stage of the breaking profound realm and didn't look particularly outstanding. Because of his status as a branch disciple of the Li family, when they reached the Liyan Islands, no sect would recruit him. All kinds of thoughts flashed through Zhang Man's mind. She didn't even have much interest in continuing to talk to Yu Yuan. How do you know the general of our Li family, the legend of the new generation? Yu Yuan's interest was piqued and he took the initiative to ask, wanting to know more about Li Yuchan and Li Yu's situation. We just met by chance. We don't have much contact. Zhang Man's attitude changed greatly, and the bright smile on her face disappeared. I'll rest for a while. Let's talk again when I have time. All of a sudden, she became cold and distant. Yu Yuan smiled, but his eyes were slightly cold. We met them on another sea cruise ship. Instead, it was the younger sister who spoke softly at this time. There's more than one sea cruise ship going to the Liyan Islands. They will stop at some of the bigger islands to carry spirit materials. We got off the sea cruise ship and stayed on the island for a while. They took another ship and went to the Liyan Islands first. Zhang Miao didn't mention the details of the two sisters' interactions with Li Yuchan and Li Yu. Yu Yuan nodded and lost interest in the conversation. After thinking about it, he had a rough idea of the change in Zhang Man's attitude. He sneered, but didn't think much of it. He leaned lazily against the wooden wall and thought about other things. Over the next 2 days, he, Zhang Man, and Zhang Miao cultivated peacefully. The process of using the violent and turbid power hidden in the fiend demon cauldron to destroy and cleanse his body over and over again was often accompanied by heart-wrenching pain. Therefore, when he cultivated, he would often be covered in cold sweat and grimacing in pain. Occasionally, he would even curl up on the bed and tremble slightly. At first, Zhang Man found it slightly strange. After watching for a while, she only thought that Yu Yuan was seriously ill or had some kind of chronic disease in his body. She couldn't see through or understand the wonders of the fiend demon body tempering art. Her shy sister, who didn't talk much, would sometimes reveal a puzzled expression, as if she was wondering if there was something strange about the incantation Yu Yuan cultivated. Yu Yuan, on the other hand, completely ignored the two of them. Their cultivation bases and incantations were nothing special. Although the two girls had reached the breaking profound realm, in Yu Yuan's eyes, their foundation was very weak. There were many problems with their body, Dantian acupoints, and the expansion of meridians. They should have used special methods to enter the breaking profound realm, and not through years of hard work. If there were no accidents, their cultivation path would stop at the breaking profound realm. If they wanted to go one step further and reach the subtle realm, with their own strength, there shouldn't be much hope. With such talent, even if they were good-looking, they wouldn't enter Yu Yuan's eyes, so he didn't pay too much attention to them. That evening, even on the second floor of the house, Yu Yuan, who was cultivating, could acutely feel that the temperature was rapidly rising. There was a loud noise coming from outside. Yu Yuan was completely awakened. Frowning, he opened the window to see what was going on outside. A huge blazing fireball with 2 people wrapped within it suddenly flew over. In the fireball, the one-armed Fang Yao of the Red Devil School had a solemn expression. There was another person in the fireball that Yu Yuan couldn't be more familiar with. Wearing a bright red dress, the blazing red lotus had an enchanting figure. Her charming face was filled with a bright smile, and the joy of breaking through to the Yin God realm couldn't be concealed. Lord Fang Yao. The voice of an old woman suddenly rang out on the 5th floor of the sea cruise ship. The house is ready. Please rest assured, Lord Fang Yao. We'll definitely escort City Lord Yuan to the Liyan Islands safely. Yuan Lianyao of the Dark Moon City of the Demon Moon Empire. She successfully reached the Yin God realm with Fang Yao's help. Fang Yao personally escorted her to the ship, and he had already communicated with the Tongtian Trading Company. It seems like they really value her. To be protected by Fang Yao and be able to condense a Yin God, she definitely can't be underestimated. Rumor has it that City Lord Yuan has made a lot of contributions to the Red Devil School in the past 2 years. The Red Devil School thinks highly of her and is focusing on nurturing her. Whispers could be heard coming from the windows of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floors. Numerous burning gazes were fixed on the beautiful woman who was escorted by Fang Yao and left the fireball. Crimson lotuses surrounded her curvaceous waist. Even after leaving the Demon Moon Empire and appearing on the ship of the Tongtian Trading Company, this outstanding city lord was still so eye-catching that countless men drooled over her. Thank you. Inside the burning fireball, Fang Yao bowed slightly to return the greeting. Fang Yao, who was in a bad mood due to the great changes in the starry Ash Sea region, gave Yuan Lianyao a few instructions with his soul and flew away. When Yuan Lianyao landed, Jiang Yurong had already congratulated her and said with a flattering smile, "There are 12 rooms on the 4th floor of this ship. One of them has been reserved for City Lord Yuan for a long time." Thank you. Under countless fiery gazes, Yuan Lianyao smiled and happily followed Jiang Yurong to the 4th floor. People on the 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, and even the 4th and 5th floor opened their windows to look at her. Many people's gazes were filled with obscene and evil thoughts, which made her feel uncomfortable. She didn't want to look at them. Naturally, she didn't notice that Yu Yuan was also among them. ***. My body has recovered today. My update is stable. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.